Chapter 1386. Maybe punishment. You concocted those words entirely on your own. Listen to yourself, don't make a mockery of your own words. You're well aware of what you and your mother put me through in the past. Don't think you can spew baseless accusations with impunity. You claim to have done me a favor? What a laughable notion. Concubine Du, her voice trembling with tears, said, "Second Miss is no longer the person she used to be. If you refuse to acknowledge it, I have nothing more to say." "Is that so?" Xiao Yunduan responded icily. "Why should my wife admit to fabrications? My wife is compassionate, and she used to overlook the past, but you've pushed her too far. You're twisting the truth and attempting to shift blame. Since you're intent on pushing this to the brink, I'll grant your wish." At Xiao Yunduan's command, the undercover guards hidden among the crowd acted as one, swiftly apprehending the suspicious individuals causing a commotion. Naturally, those individuals vehemently denied any involvement, struggling and shouting in protest. "Let go of me! What's going on? What's going on? Help! We're being unjustly treated!" "Silence!" The lead guard, without waiting for Xiao Yunduan's instruction, slapped the nearest hooligan across the face and sneered, "Keep hollering, and we'll send you straight to the Heavenly Mansion office." The hooligans fell silent instinctively, no longer daring to resist or shout out. If they were truly handed over to the authorities, their backgrounds would be exposed, and they might face severe consequences. "Oh!" A neighbor within the crowd exclaimed in astonishment, pointing at someone and whispering, "I know that person. He's from West 13th Street, they all call him Dog 3. "What's he doing here?" another person murmured. "And that one, see the scar on the left side of his face? Looks like a lowlife from Mixed Horse City. These individuals are no reputable citizens. What a stroke of luck. Why would these people be here to witness the commotion? There's no such thing as luck. Someone must have summoned them here." Xiao Yunduan cast a stern gaze at the apprehended individuals. "Are you going to confess, or should I send you to the Heavenly Mansion?" In response, the individuals exchanged uneasy glances, and one of them immediately cried out, "Lord Xiao, I beg for clemency. I'm just a humble person. I would never dare to create trouble for Lord Xiao. Someone offered me 20 taels of silver and asked me to assist this woman in causing a ruckus. I deeply regret my greed. I still have the money, I'd rather return it. Please spare my life, Lord Xiao." Once one person started, the rest quickly followed suit, all pleading for mercy. Their stories were similar, but the sums of silver were not consistent. Some had been offered 20 taels, others 30, and some a mere 10. It was their own greed that had lured them into this predicament. What led them to defy the officials of the imperial court and the crown prince was the promise of quick riches. They typically engaged in all sorts of illicit activities but were well aware of their place within the capital. They knew better than to provoke those they shouldn't cross. Originally, they had believed they could make a substantial profit while remaining hidden in the crowd, inciting trouble without ever showing their faces. It seemed like a cost-effective scheme. However, they hadn't anticipated getting apprehended and exposed. It was a humiliating predicament. Out of the 7 individuals captured, 3 had managed to evade capture, having hidden themselves well. However, these 7 people were enough to explain the problem. Chapter 1387. Serves you right to concubine. Du's expression darkened. I had nothing to do with this. I don't know them. I didn't summon them." Qiao Xian sneered. "Of course, concubine Du, it's not you, and it has nothing to do with you. They just coincidentally strolled by and decided to take your side." Laughter erupted among the neighbors. Xiao Yunduan questioned, "Do you expect us to believe your words?" Concubine Du persisted, "I swear, I had no part in bringing them here." Qiao Xian challenged, "Will you swear that if your daughter, Qiao Ko, conspires against Qiao Wei's marriage, she'll face a solitary, unsupported existence for the rest of her life?" Concubine Du conveniently ignored Xiao Xian's remark and continued shaking her head. "It's not related to me. I didn't summon these individuals. Third Miss is innocent. Second Miss, please help her. Before Xianxia could respond, the neighbors burst into laughter. Absolutely, it's all just a chance encounter. That's correct. These troublemakers are here to support concubine Du. Well, what a remarkable coincidence. I used to think she was a pitiable woman, and she fooled me with her pretense of innocence. I told you, Madame Xiao and Lord Xiao aren't ungrateful. Regardless, it's inhumane to meddle in my sister's marriage. Exactly. She deserves to be schooled by the mansion's mistress. Indeed, she's getting what she deserves. She tried to take her own life in front of Lord Xiao's residence to force Madame Xiao to assist her daughter. She's quite ruthless. Isn't she afraid of death? Who isn't afraid of death? I think she'd rather endure the mistress' wrath than continue living. Look at her, she's neither here nor there. It's clear how wretched she's been. That's true. Concubine Du was overwhelmed with shock, anger, and anxiety. She seethed with fury, resentment, and indignation. Casting a furious glare at Xianxia, she lashed out, "You wretch! You've hurt my daughter, it's all you're doing. You've incurred the wrath of the old master and his wife, but it's us who bear the brunt of it. This is all your fault. You wretch, you're going to pay for this. Silence her and bind her." Xiao Yunduan ordered. Qin Yen hurried back to the courtyard, fetched a piece of cloth and a length of hemp rope, and together with 3 or 4 others, securely tied up concubine Du. Their patients had warned Thin due to her foul language, and they showed no mercy as they bound her. Li Xia and Li Qiao even took the opportunity to pinch her a couple of times. Xianxia sneered and breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. It was clear that concubine Du had no intentions of showing her any kindness and seemed eager to vent her anger on her. It was evident that her previous claims were all baseless. Xiao Yunduan paid no further attention to the 7 hooligans. He had no intentions of letting them go. He didn't even inquire about who had employed them for this scheme. It was highly unlikely that the 4th prince would leave any trace for him to uncover. These individuals probably had no information about the true orchestrator and wouldn't be able to identify them. Nonetheless, he couldn't simply release them without consequence. That would be too lenient and allow them to underestimate him. Xiao Yunduan compelled them to surrender the money they'd received and distributed it as a reward to the East Palace guards. He issued threats and reprimands, forcing them to swear they'd never attempt such actions again before finally releasing them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1388, Currying Favor. After expressing their gratitude to the neighbors for their impartiality, Xiao Yunduan and Xianxia escorted concubine Du back to the Qiao family residence. The Qiao family's abode was in a state of disrepair, with no noticeable security measures in place. Thus, no one noticed concubine Du leaving the premises. The sight of her return took Xianxia and Xiao Yunduan by surprise. Upon hearing that Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao had arrived, 3rd Old Master Qiao was so taken aback that he initially believed they had come to celebrate the new year. To his astonishment, before he could even muster a smile, he beheld concubine Du, bound and gagged. His welcoming words were caught in his throat, his shock and anger palpable as he stuttered, What's happening here?" 3rd Mrs. Qiao sneered, "Old Master, can't you see it? Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao wield immense power. The Qiao family is but an eyesore to them, and they can simply take whatever they desire." Madame Lady Qiao shot a piercing glare at Xianxia, as if trying to retrieve what Xianxia had supposedly stolen from the Qiao family. She was about to unleash a tirade when Xiao Yunduan directed a meaningful look at the East Palace guards and suggested, "Why not allow them to explain the situation, so that no one can accuse us of bullying you?" The East Palace guards represented the Crown Prince of the East Palace, and openly challenging them was not a proposition anyone would dare undertake. Madame Lady Qiao was taken aback and instinctively held her tongue. In the end, she didn't relinquish her hope that the Qiao family might one day reclaim its former glory. Her eldest and 3rd sons were both officials of the imperial court, and her grandson aspired to pass the imperial examination and attain an official position. She couldn't risk needlessly offending the East Palace. Though they were merely guards of the East Palace, they were not individuals the Qiao family could easily provoke. On the contrary, it was in their best interest to seek favor with them. Madam Lady Qiao put on a strained smile. Ah, it's the East Palace guards. First, second, third, please have a seat in the room and enjoy some tea. The Qiao brothers were about to agree when Sun Bai arched an eyebrow. No need, we'll keep it brief. He had little patience for dealing with the Qiao family. Gesturing toward concubine Du, he recounted the events that had unfolded. A wave of shock swept through the entire Qiao family. Third Old Master Qiao glared at concubine Du and hastily disavowed any involvement, stating, I had nothing to do with this. I had no idea that this woman was so audacious. Madam Lady Qiao sneered at Qiao Xian. You owe a debt of gratitude to concubine Du, and this is how you treat your benefactor? You are truly ruthless. Qiao Xian retorted sharply, if you're not senile, don't speak without thinking. Are you ignorant of what kind of person concubine Du is? Are you unaware of the nature of Qiao? Do you honestly believe that she and her mother will treat me kindly? She bribed a hooligan to create chaos on New Year's Eve and even tried to take her own life in front of my residence to intimidate me. She may be a devoted mother, but that has nothing to do with me. She's out to harm me. If you're so insistent, why don't you visit the Heavenly Mansion office to clarify the situation? I won't tolerate being unjustly accused. Xiao Yunduan added coldly, we've been exceedingly lenient, never resorting to force even when the odds were against you. Madam Lady Qiao sneered and was about to retaliate when Old Master Qiao cleared his throat, interrupting her. Mother, please refrain from further comment. In her fit of anger, his mother might not have cared, but he couldn't permit her to behave recklessly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1389. How disgusting Xiao Yunduan's remarks led Third Old Master Qiao to abandon any thoughts of exploiting the situation. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had refrained from seeking vengeance on the Qiao family, and if they were provoked to retaliate, it could jeopardize his position. Moreover, life for the Qiao family in the capital would become even more arduous. The Qiao family lacked the confidence to challenge Xiao Yunduan. Madam Lady Qiao glowered at Qiao Xian, her dissatisfaction palpable, but she had to yield to the wishes of her eldest son. She then directed her glare at concubine Du once more. In her view, this inept woman didn't even know how to end her own life. If she had successfully taken her own life in front of Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian's residence, the Qiao family could have demanded justice on her behalf. But instead she had survived, with someone capturing her and returning her home, causing immense embarrassment. Madam Lady Qiao wasn't concerned about concubine Du's reputation. Her primary aim was to humiliate Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. She suggested, if this woman is so malicious, the Qiao family can't possibly shelter her any longer. Since she has offended Lord Xiao and Madam Xiao, please remove her from our premises. We will deal with Lord Xiao and Madam Xiao as we see fit. Her proposition was utterly repugnant. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan couldn't simply take concubine Du with them. Doing so would only create more problems. Xiao Yunduan chose to disregard Madam Lady Qiao's words and turned to Third Old Master. Officer Qiao, I have a few inquiries for you. May I proceed? Hearing his former son-in-law address him as Officer Qiao, in such a detached and businesslike manner, Third Old Master Qiao's heart ached. A reprehensible individual had triumphed. A reprehensible individual had triumphed. He had not acted in this manner in the past. The East Palace guards fixed their gazes upon him, rendering it impossible for Third Master Qiao to disregard Xiao Yunduan. This situation needed resolution, as these individuals wouldn't depart otherwise. The longer the deadlock persisted, the more detrimental it would be. Furthermore, with their current predicament, they couldn't afford to slight Xiao Yunduan. Could he afford to flaunt his father-in-law's status in such circumstances? Reluctantly, Third Old Master Qiao walked over. Madam Lady Qiao signaled to her husband and her brother-in-law, and they followed her lead. However, Sun Bai reached out to halt them, stating, please wait. Lord Xiao didn't request your presence. The two old masters of the Qiao family seethed with anger. What did he mean by, Lord Xiao didn't request your presence? Who did he think he was? Though they muttered silently, they dared not provoke the East Palace entourage. All they could do was stop with a resentful expression. Yunduan, Officer Qiao, would you prefer to relocate somewhere else? Xiao Yunduan interrupted. What? Third Old Master Qiao was left dumbfounded. Xiao Yunduan cast a meaningful look in his direction and spoke slowly. Officer Qiao, if you're considering relocating somewhere else, I might be able to assist you. Third Old Master Qiao was immediately stirred by this proposition. Regrets had haunted him for a long time. Initially, he had harbored high hopes that his return to the capital would yield rapid advancements and a flourishing career. Little did he anticipate that, after squandering a considerable sum of money, he would only deteriorate further. Moreover, it appeared that he would never attain a higher position again in his lifetime. His mother, siblings, and in-laws held him accountable, even though he hadn't been the one to sever all ties with Qiao Xian. They had initiated the estrangement. His children had become the subject of endless jests. He felt a deep sense of shame when mingling as a guest. How he yearned for the freedom to depart the capital. As a local government official, he held a position of leadership and could lead if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1390. Hard to guard against Third Old Master Qiao was overjoyed and found himself developing a more favorable view of Xiao Yunduan. He spoke with a friendly smile. Yunduan, you still care for me. Xiao Yunduan responded, Officer Qiao, please just address me as Lord Xiao. Your words are quite misleading. Third Old Master Qiao had believed that Xiao Yunduan was aware of his struggles in the capital and had come to his aid. Even though Xiao Yunduan hadn't explicitly mentioned it, he sensed a degree of concern from his former son-in-law. Just as he was about to exchange a few more warm sentiments, a figurative bucket of ice-cold water was metaphorically dumped on him. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but stifle a laugh at the expression of shock on Third Old Master Qiao's face. Where had he found the audacity to think that this was done for his benefit? Officer Qiao, please don't misinterpret my intentions. I simply believe that it would be advantageous for my wife and me if you were to depart the capital. With the third branch of the family relocated elsewhere, particularly Third Old Master Qiao, there would be no prior connections between the first branch of the family, the second branch of the family, and Qiao Xian. Since there was no familial bond, no one could manipulate the Qiao family to potentially cause them any distress. Xiao Yunduan was informed about the third lady of the Qiao family but remained uncertain whether she would resort to such extreme measures as concubine. You could never predict what would transpire next. Third Old Master Qiao seethed with anger and responded stiffly, let me consider this. Xiao Yunduan didn't tolerate his dithering. Officer Qiao, you should contemplate it now. I won't wait for you if you take too long. Third Old Master Qiao was further incensed, torn between the desire to restore his dignity and the worry that he might not succeed. Ultimately, he couldn't resist the allure of such an opportunity and admitted somewhat begrudgingly, I suppose it's better to serve as a county magistrate and contribute to the imperial court. I can become a magistrate in either Shandong or Jiangnan. Xiao Yunduan glanced at him, her disbelief palpable. He truly had no reservations. Prefectures in Shandong and Jiangnan? He was genuinely bold. Only Fujian County Magistrate. Officer Qiao, do you accept? What? Third Old Master Qiao retorted indignantly, this is unreasonable. Xiao Yunduan replied, that's the only option available. Hearing these words, Third Old Master experienced a blend of anger and consolation. It wasn't that Xiao Yunduan had no intention of providing him with a more prestigious role or a better location, but he lacked the capability to do so himself. When he considered it carefully, no matter how much he spoke with the Crown Prince, he remained relatively young and inexperienced. Consequently, his influence wasn't particularly substantial. This realization eased his frustration somewhat, and he implored, Fujian is truly quite distant. Could we consider another location? Xiao Yunduan shook her head, affirming, Fujian is the sole option. Naturally, the location couldn't be altered. Lu Min was also situated in Fujian, so Third Old Master Qiao could still be monitored from there. While Gu Zhio resided in the northwest, Qi was also in the northwest. This ruled out the possibility of allowing Third Old Master Qiao to relocate there. The primary objective was to keep as much distance as possible from the Qiao family. Though Third Old Master Qiao's anger flared intermittently, he found himself restrained by his circumstances. Nonetheless, he desperately yearned to leave Beijing. Very well, I accept Fujian. As a county magistrate. After all, he was an official, and this represented a substantial improvement over remaining in the capital. Xiao Yunduan remarked, then it's settled. Officer Qiao, if you work diligently, you may find yourself transferred to a more desirable post someday. It was best to let him dream. One dose of punishment followed by a promise of future reward. With hope to guide him, he would be more tractable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1391. Watching over the Qiao family as anticipated, Third Old Master Qiao's eyes sparkled with joy. Thank you for your auspicious words, ha! Xiao Yunduan stated, Officer Qiao, please prepare yourself. The transfer order will arrive shortly after the new year. Understood. Officer Qiao, please ensure the utmost discretion in this matter. Keep it confidential, even from the Qiao family. It would be disastrous if anything were to befall Hengxing. Of course, keep a vigilant eye on individuals from your own family. I don't want a repeat of today's incident. Xiao Yunduan turned and departed, holding Qiao Xian's hand. Wife, let's return home. Qiao Xian nodded, a smile gracing her lips. Certainly. Release her, let's go. Sun Bai complied and instructed someone to release concubine Du. They then departed alongside Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. With a smile, Xiao Yunduan handed an envelope to Sun Bai. It's the new year. Thank you, my brothers. Take this and enjoy a cup of hot tea. Sun Bai was somewhat reluctant. Sir, accept it, Xiao Yunduan insisted, smiling. It's the new year, my friends. Thank you for your hard work. Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao had always been exceedingly generous. While in their service, their employees received numerous perks and excellent treatment. They never had to spend their own money. Consequently, even though it was the new year, upon hearing of a task from Lord Xiao, there was no need for summons. Everyone willingly volunteered to come. They had wished to express their gratitude to Lord Xiao and his wife for their exceptional treatment. Little did they anticipate receiving even more benefits in return. After bidding farewell, Sun Bai smiled as he watched Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan board the wagon and depart. Thank you, Lord Xiao. The chorus of responses followed. Lord Xiao is too kind, indeed. We've received countless benefits in the past. It's only right to assist with this small favor. If Lord Xiao requires anything in the future, don't hesitate to call on me. Count me in too. Sun Baishao playfully scolded. Of course, you have no objections. You can't wait, can you? Laughter echoed among the group. The first speaker, a bit embarrassed, scratched his head and said with a smile, Boss, don't misjudge me. I don't mean anything else. I intend to say that we'll gladly help Lord Xiao. We want to accept the money next time. Sun Bai chuckled. Lord Xiao is too kind. All right, let's find a spot to divide the money and celebrate the new year together. Mixed emotions of guilt and happiness filled the group as they quickly located a quiet alley and began to distribute the money. The envelope contained neatly stacked banknotes, 50 taels each, precisely enough for the number of people present. Everyone was left momentarily speechless by Lord Xiao's generosity. Sun Baishao sighed, Take your share and remember Lord Xiao's kindness. The group responded with laughter. How could we ever forget? With that, they bid each other cheerful farewells and went their separate ways. Curious, Qiao Xian turned to Xiao Yunduan and asked, What did you say to Officer Qiao? Xiao Yunduan smiled. am about to share my plan with you. Xianxia exclaimed with joy, "That's wonderful. We won't have to encounter them anymore, preventing any more tricks." I was genuinely concerned about their actions. Now, there was no need to dwell on the matter. Xiao Yunduan grinned and said, "I just recalled that Fujian province needed attention before the new year, so I'll resolve that matter within a couple of days." Sounds good. Let's not dwell on them. It's time to head home for the new year. Absolutely. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1392. Words after neutralizing a hidden threat, they breathed a sigh of relief. It was a perfect time to celebrate the upcoming new year. Xiao couldn't contain her joy, knowing that she wouldn't have to deal with that family for at least a few years. The way Third Old Master Qiao had looked at her earlier, with a facade of a caring father, had genuinely disgusted her. If she were still the original Qiao, if she hadn't transformed into the person she was today, Third Old Master Qiao wouldn't have even recognized her, let alone cared about her. So why was she still pretending? She couldn't find a single decent soul in the Qiao family. After leaving the Qiao family behind, Madam Lady Qiao impatiently asked Third Old Master, "What did that Xiao guy say to you just now?" Great Old Master Qiao, Second Old Master Qiao, and others also fixed their gazes on Third Old Master Qiao, all at once. Under their intense scrutiny, Third Old Master Qiao's heart raced, and he had an instinct to flee. Reflecting on Xiao Yunduan's warning not to disclose the transfer to the family, he began to understand. It was nothing. He inquired about concubine Du, and I had to clarify things. Madam Lady Qiao huffed, her interest waning, and she retorted with irritation, "You're too soft. Who does this Xiao guy think he is? Even if you ignore him and don't show him any respect, what can he do to you? Humph, I'd like to see if he, the one who used to be your son-in-law, could harm you, his father-in-law." Father-in-law and son-in-law? Those words stung Third Old Master Qiao, and he felt a tinge of embarrassment. But it was his biological mother who had embarrassed him, leaving him little room for response. Third Old Master Qiao mustered a forced smile. "It's the Lunar New Year. It's better to clarify things. Why let others accuse us?" He directed an intense glare at concubine Du, who remained bound on the ground, her mouth still gagged. "This mess is entirely that woman's fault." Old Master Qiao raised an eyebrow, expressing his doubt. "Third brother, are you sure Lord Xiao only inquired about concubine Du? Did he mention anything else?" Third Old Master Qiao immediately became cautious. He put on a smile and replied, "Certainly not, elder brother. Do you think Lord Xiao had anything else to discuss with me? Speaking of which, was it even productive to be angry now? If they hadn't created a spectacle in the capital and taken actions into their own hands, perhaps he, his daughter, and her husband wouldn't have ended up in this situation today. If only Xiao Yunduan were still his son-in-law, he would be basking in glory, but he couldn't entertain such thoughts. The more he dwelled on them, the more remorseful he felt. The more he thought about it, the stronger the urge to unleash a torrent of curses. Old Master Qiao smirked. "Third brother, your tone is a bit excessive. I observed that Lord Xiao didn't appear perturbed, and you seemed rather pleased. I thought you might be discussing something else." As soon as he said that, Madam Lady Qiao shot Third Old Master a piercing look. "Third brother, don't try to deceive us." "That's right, Third brother." Second Old Master Qiao chimed in with a smile. "If there's anything advantageous, you shouldn't keep it to yourself." Third Old Master Qiao found himself harboring an indescribable sense of disgust. He strained a smile and said, "Mother, elder brother, second brother, you needn't worry. We're family after all." Of course. Second Old Master Qiao snorted. "It's good that you understand. We've been dragged into this mess because of you. If it weren't for your daughter and son-in-law, our family wouldn't be in such dire straits." Third Old Master Qiao barely managed to hold back a torrent of curses. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1393. Really dumb. Madam Lady Qiao and the others voiced their agreement, venting their grievances for a while before departing. Third Old Master Qiao seethed with anger and instructed someone to remove concubine Du. He intended to question her in detail. Back in the house, he ordered the servants to untie concubine Du before she could catch her breath. Third Old Master Qiao delivered a brutal kick, causing her to scream and tumble to the floor. You wretched woman! The audacity of your actions! You've become quite bold. Daring to do something like this? Speak up, who ordered you to do it? Concubine Du, cold, hungry, filled with hatred and anger, was no longer afraid. She rose to her feet, laboriously fixing her gaze on Third Old Master Qiao, her eyes filled with contempt. Who do you think had the power and the nerve to give such orders? Don't you already know? Even if you do, I doubt you'd dare to utter a word. You. My Co is suffering. As her mother, I am powerless, and you, as her father, are just as useless. Utterly useless. You can't even protect your own daughter. Oh, my dear Co. How dare you? Third Old Master Qiao was so furious that his heart ached. He pointed at concubine Du in a mixture of shock and anger. You vile woman! I never expected this of you. I misjudged you. No wonder you corrupted Co so thoroughly. You and your daughter overestimated yourselves, attempting to climb the social ladder behind my back. In the end, you've only brought harm upon yourselves. Is that my fault? No matter how harshly I may have treated you over the years, you've still provoked someone I cannot afford to antagonize. Do you truly believe you can escape unscathed? You're living in a dream. No matter what happened to Third Girl today, she brought it upon herself. She can't place blame elsewhere for the bitter consequences of her actions. Do you think I wanted to? Concubine Du burst into tears. If Ms. Dong and Xiao Wei hadn't been so cruel and disdainful, we wouldn't have resorted to such measures. It's all Ms. Dong's fault. Your virtuous wife is entirely to blame. Concubine Du lashed out at Third Madame Qiao with ferocity for her past actions. Her eyes shot flames, her contorted face bore a venomous expression, and her vulgar words dripped with malice. Her rage left Third Old Master Qiao utterly dumbfounded. He was truly stunned. As he gazed upon the enraged concubine Du, he quivered and felt a shiver run down his spine. Who were these people surrounding him? Was this the concubine he had cherished for so many years? The woman he had shared his bed with and treated tenderly? Concubine Du ranted to her heart's content, stopping only when she was breathless. She fixed a malevolent glare on Third Old Master. Her gaze left him in such shock that he almost took a step back. Then concubine Du suddenly erupted into laughter. Retribution. It's all retribution. I bet Ms. Dong and Xiao Wei are tormented by their predicament, aren't they? That eldest young master is nothing more than a stray dog. Ha! Retribution. This is Ms. Dong's retribution. You, silence. Third Old Master Qiao scolded with anger. I think you've gone mad. So what? It's all your fault. You pushed me to do this. You wretch. Ha. Third Old Master Qiao glared at concubine Du, feeling helpless. He could not possibly get her killed either. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1394. It's too late to say anything now. Contemplating concubine Du's biting words about retribution, Old Master Qiao felt a deep sense of sorrow. Could it truly be retribution? Yet he also harbored a profound sense of injustice. What had he done to deserve this? He had done nothing. Thinking of his virtuous wife, Ms. Dong, Xiao Yunduan found her amusing and pulled her close for a kiss. All right, as you wish. If you ever encounter any difficulties, remember to inform me. You needn't resort to being a bad person, you'll handle it. Being an officer, Xiao Yunduan had the authority that demanded respect. The residents of the imperial city were both knowledgeable and tactful, and they understood the nuances of diplomacy. Qiao Xian responded with a smile. Xiao Yunduan's gaze grew intense as he held her tightly. It's getting late, let's take a break. Qiao Xian met his gaze, and her heart raced. She blushed and averted her eyes, whispering, "All right." Xiao Yunduan lifted her in his arms and headed back to the bedroom. In early summer, roses were in full bloom and durian flowers blazed with crimson. Peonies were also at their peak. During this splendid season, women in the capital often hosted various grand events to appreciate the flowers. Some had extended invitations to Qiao Xian, including the wives and daughters-in-law of Xiao Yunduan's colleagues or those connected to officials from the Crown Prince's faction. Social engagements were inevitable. While Qiao Xian preferred to prepare delicious meals at home and spend her husband's breaks exploring mountains, visiting lakes, and enjoying the landscapes of Yunshui town, she couldn't decline these invitations. Due to Xiao Yunduan's youthful promise and his high standing in the East Palace, the women always held back their true feelings around Qiao Xian. Some may have displayed their disdain through their attitudes, but none dared to voice it aloud. Qiao Xian, however, was never one to subscribe to such notions. She remained unruffled. The fact that Xiao Yunduan had turned down Tian Shanshan and chosen her was enough to arouse jealousy and resentment among many women for his sake. How could a concubine's daughter like her be so fortunate? Some even envied the financial success Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had achieved at such a young age since their arrival in the capital. They had purchased a house and over 1,000 mu of land. It was rumored that a small plate of strawberries at Jingquan restaurant cost nearly 1 tael of silver, and carrying more than 500 grams cost over 2 liang. Qiao Xian could supply more than 50 kilograms a day. How much could they potentially earn in a month? Some couldn't help but utter sour remarks in her presence, all of which Qiao Xian skillfully deflected with a smile. She preferred not to retaliate, as she didn't want to come across as confrontational. However, one day, someone visited the East Palace, and Princess Consort personally sent a message, informing her of their plan to visit the fourth prince's residence for a flower viewing event the next day. It was an invitation extended by the fourth princess consort. Qiao Xian couldn't decline Princess Consort's request, but inwardly, she felt a tinge of annoyance. What was the fourth princess consort's intent? If she genuinely wanted Qiao Xian as a guest, she could have simply sent an invitation. Yet, instead of mailing an invitation, she had Princess Consort deliver the message personally. While it was virtually certain, it wasn't appropriate to disclose it prematurely, lest they slip up. The two of them took the opportunity to give them lessons. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1395. Calling her fat. After Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian departed, the household responsibilities fell upon those remaining. They had to tend to the fields, particularly the potato crops. Songshi, Li Xia, and the others approached their tasks with confidence and determination. With the arrival of the new year, the usual round of social engagements began. The princess consort of the East Palace extended an invitation to Qiao Xian for a banquet. These gatherings typically revolved around familial ties, one's maternal family, and the husband's official standing. Given Xiao Yunduan's established position in the capital and Qiao Xian's presence at the Crown Prince's banquet during the Spring Festival, there was usually little concern about encountering troublemakers. However, Qiao Xian was quite reluctant to attend the East Palace banquet. It wasn't a social circle she could naturally fit into with her current status. The attendees of the princess consort's banquet were the cream of the crop among the capital's nobility. Yet, owing to their substantial contributions to the crown prince, Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian found themselves on the guest list. The invitation from the East Palace couldn't be declined. Qiao Xian insisted on taking Li Xia along with her. As expected, the princess consort's guests comprised the prince's concubines, the consort of the prefecture lord, ladies from prominent noble families, and more. None of them were individuals Qiao Xian could afford to alienate. The fourth princess consort harbored a particularly unfavorable opinion of her. Upon seeing Qiao Xian, She immediately wore a disapproving expression and cast cold glances in her direction. Her distaste was unmistakable, much to the amusement of those less refined or those pretending not to notice. The fourth princess consort's evident dislike for Qiao Xian made her the subject of gossip and speculation. Aside from the princess consort's polite greeting, nobody paid her any mind. It was as though she were invisible and non-existent to the rest of the attendees. Nonetheless, she had openly insulted the fourth princess consort. While no one believed she held more status than the fourth princess consort, they didn't dare to provoke her. Qiao Xian breathed a sigh of relief. She paid no mind to their indifference. She had no interest in mingling with such individuals. It was far better to focus on her own affairs. After a tiresome half-day, the event finally came to an end. Farewells were exchanged with Princess Consort, and the guests began departing. As she was leaving, the fourth princess consort suddenly flashed a smile at Qiao Xian. "Lord Xiao, as the envoy who will be escorting the princess to her wedding, you'll be departing shortly, won't you?" Qiao Xian was taken aback but responded with a smile. "Yes, we're setting off on the 8th of March, 2 months from now." Madame Xiao has quite a good memory. The fourth princess consort chuckled, raising her eyebrows, and added with a knowing smile, "Then you'll have plenty of free time, and you can visit my residence." Qiao Xian smiled and replied, "Fourth princess consort, if my schedule permits, I'll certainly accept." The fourth princess consort made a dismissive sound and departed. She had extended an invitation, but she had also included a conditional clause. Who did she think she was? How arrogant! Observing the discontent on her master's face, Yun Chao recognized that Madame Xiao had been slighted. She tried to offer some reassurance with a smile. "Princess consort, there's no need to stoop to the level of such a rude person. We belong to different social tiers, so naturally, our speech and behavior differ. I don't mean to be impudent, but our maids are more disciplined than her." The fourth princess consort laughed and cast a glance at Yun Chao. "You're absolutely correct. I misspoke." She paused briefly, then spoke with an elegant smile. "Nonetheless, I simply don't like her. What can I say? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1396. Princess Shuangfu. Yun Chao smirked and responded, "You're absolutely right. Who is she, and what is her status? She should learn a lesson for her impudence. When Lord Xiao departs from the capital, we'll see who will support her." The fourth princess consort chuckled, feeling much more content. Indeed, when Xiao Yunduan left the capital, Ms. Qiao would have to face the consequences. It was quite exasperating. He Jiqing had proven herself to be rather inept. She had failed to make proper use of the Qiao family's readily available chess piece. If she stumbled once or twice, what purpose did she serve? It was no surprise that His Highness' dislike for her had grown steadily. The next moment, the 12 peak masters found that the space around them began to twist. Their own figures became smaller and smaller, almost turning into mesons. Above everyone's heads, a massive entity appeared. It was a starry sky wanderer Kuan, whose size was tens to hundreds of times that of a normal life planet. Under the condition that the 12 peak masters' figures were turned into mesons, the starry sky wanderer Kuan seemed even more like a splendid starry river, towering above and looking down at everyone. "We can't go on like this." The 12 peak masters trembled in spirit, realizing that if they didn't resist, their mental states would be destroyed, and then they would definitely be scolded by the teacher again. Thus, the 12 exerted their fullest strength in an explosion, seeking to resist the starry sky wanderer Kuan that seemed to crush down like the heavens. But the next moment, there was no longer a starry sky wanderer Kuan that resembled a splendid starry river between heaven and earth. The 12 peak masters' figures also returned to normal, and the twisted space quickly calmed down. However, the 12 peak masters did not dare to relax. Because, unknown to them, their teacher Qikuan Star Lord had already come by their side, standing behind everyone, looking down at the Qikuan main star below. As if observing someone. The great peak master, also at the 7th rank peak, likewise noticed something. Is this the aura of breaking through to the 7th rank? Junior disciple, is junior disciple breaking through to the 7th rank? The great peak master muttered to himself, yet his voice rang in every peak master's ear. Breaking through to the 7th rank? 4th peak master's Wagu stared, dumbfounded and incredulous. Chikuan Star Lord glanced at the 4th peak master's Wagu and then at the other peak masters. As if to say, see? Now do you understand why I didn't call your junior disciple over? The 12 peak masters were utterly bewildered. Xiao Yunduan didn't entirely agree with this course of action, but he couldn't help feeling both pleased and concerned about it. He was pleased that the Crown Prince displayed a compassionate and humane side, but he also sighed because this situation could lead to complications. It would be perfectly fine if everything went smoothly, but in the event of any trouble, it wouldn't be a laughing matter. The following day, a disguised Princess Shuangfu left the palace with her maid, Biyun, and Auntie Si. They met Xiao Xian at a tea house. Princess Shuangfu occupied a private room by the window and watched the lively street scenes outside with genuine interest, her eyes filled with wonder. She was intrigued by everything around her. She would engage in light-hearted conversation with Biyun and Auntie Si, inquiring about a variety of topics. Despite Auntie Si being close to 40 years old, she had entered the palace at the tender age of 10. Over the years, she had left the palace only twice, and both instances had been strictly regulated, offering limited freedom. Many of Princess Shuangfu's questions stumped Auntie Si. Nonetheless, the mistress and her servants engaged in animated conversations, sharing laughter and mirth. Princess Shuangfu unexpectedly felt that she wasn't as opposed to this marriage as before. After all, she had no family or relatives in the Great Qin Empire. Transitioning to Qingdi was a possibility. Rumor had it that Qingdi was devoid of the rigid rules and restrictions she encountered in the palace. She envisioned herself no longer confined to a gilded cage. Princess Shuangfu couldn't wait any longer. She decided to leave the palace early, and as soon as Qiao Xian received word of this, she hurried to meet her. I didn't expect Miss Fu to come so early. Please forgive me for not receiving you at the doorstep. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1397. Temperous Qiao Xian closed the door. She offered an apologetic bow. She realized her own oversight. It was Princess Shuangfu's first time leaving the palace, and it was only natural that she was eager. This excitement had prompted her to arrive early. Princess Shuangfu instructed Biyun to help her with her outerwear and addressed Qiao Xian with a smile. Madam Xiao, there's no need to stand on ceremony. I may trouble you in the coming days. Please feel free to be yourself. Qiao Xian felt relieved and responded with a smile. Of course not, Miss Fu. If you have no objections, I won't hesitate to be less formal. Of course not. My brother mentioned that Madam Xiao is very easygoing, and it seems to be true. Madam Xiao, let's be at ease with each other. Princess Shuangfu remarked, smiling at Qiao Xian. Madam Xiao, no need for unnecessary politeness, just be yourself. You're absolutely right, Miss Fu. I'll gladly heed your advice. They shared a warm smile. Source, Novgo. Co-Princess Shuangfu mentioned, I didn't have breakfast this morning. Madam Xiao, do you have any suggestions for a meal? Qiao Xian suggested, Jinquan Pavilion has some delicious snacks. What flavor do you prefer, Miss Fu? Why don't we try them there? Princess Shuangfu displayed interest and replied, I'm not particular. I'm open to anything, Madam Xiao, please decide. I'd like to try a little of everything. Qiao Xian nodded with a smile. Pea yellow, sweet osmanthus, almond cakes, rhubarb rolls, Longjing green tea crisps, crab roe steamed buns, beef cereal, steamed dumplings with shredded chicken and winter bamboo shoots, fried radish cakes, and tofu pudding are all quite renowned. Shall we order a serving of each and 4 side dishes, as well as 4 appetizing sour and sweet preserves? Princess Shuangfu's interest grew, and she nodded with a smile. Certainly, That sounds delectable. Xiao wore a warm smile as she inquired, "What type of tea do you prefer?" Princess Shuangfu responded with a smile, "Madam Xiao, I'm not particular. I'll gladly accept your suggestion." Xiao contemplated for a moment and suggested, "How about a pot of jasmine tea?" "Sounds wonderful." Li Xia called the waiter over, and Xiao proceeded to place the order for the tea and snacks. The waiter, attentive and cheerful, confirmed the order and assured them of a prompt delivery. Having previously supplied strawberries to Jinquan restaurant, Xiao was recognized by the staff here, even though she didn't frequent the tea house often. The wait staff knew her as a valuable client they couldn't afford to displease, treating her with warmth and consideration. Princess Shuangfu expressed her envy, saying with a smile, "Madam Xiao, you must be a regular at this tea house. I envy you greatly. I've never had such casual conversations with anyone before." Xiao was simultaneously amused and touched by the comment. She thought there was nothing to envy. However, Princess Shuangfu, despite being a princess, had lost her parents at a very young age and was not doted on. Though the crown prince treated her better than others, his attention was limited. After all, he was occupied with numerous responsibilities and matters. How could he remember to care for his half-sister? While Princess Shuangfu didn't have to worry about her basic needs, her days were monotonous and uneventful. She had only interacted with a select few individuals throughout her life, and her social circle was exceedingly limited. It wasn't surprising that she'd feel envious when observing others engage in carefree conversations. Xiao couldn't delve into royal matters, so she offered a simple explanation with a smile. "I am acquainted with Jinquan restaurant because I own over 20 mues of land in the capital. I cultivated a significant quantity of strawberries last year, and I've been supplying them to Jinquan restaurant. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1398. Not going home, I obtained this delectable strawberry from a distant location, a unique and exquisite fruit that only I possess. It has an exceptionally limited supply, exclusively reserved for Jinquan Pavilion. Naturally, we have influential connections. It's a shame that the timing isn't quite right at the moment. Otherwise, you might find it equally delightful. Princess Shuangfu had never encountered strawberries before, and her curiosity was piqued. She smiled with regret and replied, "I understand. It's indeed unfortunate, but I suppose luck isn't on my side." Qiao felt a jolt as she contemplated her impending marriage. Even though she wasn't the favored one, being a princess meant she would likely have a respectable union when the time came. As a princess, she could anticipate a relatively comfortable life at her husband's estate, unless she encountered extraordinary misfortune. Although Princess Shuangfu had accepted her fate, a part of her still yearned to remain in a familiar environment. This time, it seemed she might never return to the capital. Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and she offered with a warm smile, "In my hometown, I have plenty of strawberry seedlings. They are incredibly low maintenance and grow rapidly. If you'd like, I can provide you with some seedlings to take with you." "Really?" Princess Shuangfu's eyes sparkled with surprise and delight. Source: Novgo. Seeing her reaction, Xiao couldn't help but sympathize. She nodded enthusiastically, "Absolutely. That's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Lady Xiao, thank you. I will arrange for someone to care for them." Her excitement was understandable. Nobody had ever bestowed such a gift upon her. Apart from her family's gifts, this was the first time someone had offered her a present. Xiao, with a warm smile, reassured her, "No need to mention it, Miss Fu. I also have potatoes, which are quite a treat. Would you like some of those as well?" "Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Madam Xiao." Princess Shuangfu beamed with delight, her happiness evident. The refreshments arrived promptly, their presentation exquisite, with 4 small dishes on each plate. Despite the abundance of plates, it was just the right amount. With a warm smile, Qiao gestured to Princess Shuangfu to begin with the chopsticks. These are all freshly prepared, Miss Fu, please enjoy. Madame Xiao, you should have a taste as well. Princess Shuangfu hadn't dined outside often, so while she never lacked for food and snacks in the palace, enjoying fresh food was a rare treat. Typically, the snacks from the imperial kitchen were no different from the previous days, and even in winter, the insulated food containers struggled to keep the food warm, necessitating reheating with a small stove before consumption. Today's meal was a welcome departure from the usual routine. Xianxia introduced the steamed crab roe dumplings, steamed buns, and shredded chicken with winter bamboo shoots to her. Princess Shuangfu's eyes sparkled, and she nodded with delight. This is incredibly fresh and delicious. I never expected such culinary expertise at this tea house. Xianxia smiled. Jingquan Restaurant is a renowned establishment in the capital, with a nearly century-old legacy of excellence. Miss Fu, don't miss out on the radish cake. It's equally delightful and best enjoyed while it's piping hot. Of course. Princess Shuangfu's appetite was fully awakened, and she savored each dish with genuine enthusiasm, offering praise for their flavors. As they shared their meal, their camaraderie grew stronger, and their conversation flowed more naturally. Qiao felt relieved. Princess Shuangfu had a pleasant temperament. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1399. Shopping with the princesses were known for their simplicity and lack of pretense. This made Qingdi's journey accompanying her to the wedding far from exhausting. Princess Shuangfu expressed great interest in the strawberries that Qiao had mentioned. Never having seen a vegetable garden before, she expressed a desire to visit Qiao place for a closer look. Qiao readily agreed to this straightforward request. Moreover, her yard was impeccably kept, offering a safe and appealing destination. The two of them exited the tea house and promptly hailed a carriage. Unfortunately, the weather remained cold. While the entire garden was orderly, it was currently devoid of life, with the strawberry plants still concealed beneath a thick layer of straw for the winter. They would have to wait at least until mid-February for the weather to warm up, at which point they could remove the straw coverings. In the garden at this moment, only a handful of sweet osmanthus trees were adorned with a hint of green, while the fruit trees at the garden's perimeter stood barren. Despite this, Princess Shuangfu, on her first visit to this kind of place, maintained a keen interest. Everything felt new to her, prompting her to incessantly inquire of Qiao, "What's this? What's its purpose? Will this tree bear fruit? Is it tasty? This area is for growing potatoes. I wonder what potatoes look like," and the like. She even ventured into the garden. Were it not for Auntie C and Bai Yun's intervention to prevent her, she might have even attempted to handle the hoe and iron rake herself, concerned that she might inadvertently harm herself. Qiao found her curiosity quite amusing. She thought to herself that Princess Shuangfu had a rather agreeable personality. With her unpretentious and easygoing nature, she was certain to lead a contented life in Qingdi. Many noble women had never experienced anything related to farming or agriculture within their pavilions. Nevertheless, very few treated Princess Shuangfu with disdain, condescension, or contempt. Most heiresses, even if they were not pampered or had experienced difficulties at home, couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority as long as they retained their noble status. However, Princess Shuangfu's complete lack of concern for these rural matters was truly refreshing. Before they realized it, half a day had flown by. Qiao and Princess Shuangfu went to the restaurant for lunch, embarked on an afternoon shopping spree, indulging in numerous snacks and making a plethora of purchases. Princess Shuangfu's enthusiasm for shopping was palpable. She desired everything she laid her eyes on, gleefully adding each item to her acquisitions. Rouge, powder, satin fabric, trinkets, needles, threads, embroidered sachets, dainty jewelry, and even a finely crafted bamboo basket, all found their way into her shopping bags. And of course, there were a variety of delectable snacks, including sugar figurines, candied hawthorns, stir-fried chestnuts, roasted peanuts, 5-spice melon seeds, plum blossom cake, mung bean cake, and more. Her shopping addiction was evident in her sparkling eyes. Xianxia found herself torn between laughter and bewilderment but refrained from complaining. She accompanied her on this shopping adventure. The person accompanying them couldn't bear it any longer, so they summoned a guard to assist with the overwhelming number of purchases, placing them in a carriage conveniently parked nearby. After hours of shopping, they had accumulated so many items that they filled more than half of the carriages. It was a carriage brimming with a diverse array of goods. Of course, Princess Shuangfu couldn't take these items back to the palace. In fact, she couldn't even bring them past the palace gates. If she had been a favored figure, there might have been a chance to bring a few of these items in after a thorough inspection. The palace guards would discreetly overlook the rules and allow her entry. However, she wasn't in such a privileged position. Princess Shuangfu gazed at her purchases with a sense of resignation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1400. Princess Shuangfu is very nice. Princess Shuangfu flashed a warm smile at Xianxia. These items are of no use to me, so I'd like to give them to you, Madam Xiao. They are just trinkets, and am uncertain of their practicality. Please don't be concerned about them. Xianxia could discern that Princess Shuangfu secretly wished to keep these items, but she knew that these modest treasures were hardly fit for the refined environment of the royal palace. Bringing them in was an impossibility. Her heart quickened, and she leaned in closer to Princess Shuangfu, whispering with a soft chuckle, "Princess, aren't you going to leave the palace tomorrow? Why don't you return to my home? I'll place these items in a room today. Tomorrow, you can choose whatever you like. I'll have them packed and ready for you to take along when you depart the palace." Princess Shuangfu's eyes brightened with surprise and delight. Is that really possible? Xianxia couldn't make any guarantees but maintained a smile. "I can't say for sure, but we can certainly give it a try." After all, Xiao Yunduan held a position as the envoy, and they would be traveling together with their luggage, which meant they could bring at least a couple of boxes. Princess Shuangfu also realized that with Lord Xiao as the envoy, Xianxia might be able to assist her in this endeavor. Overjoyed, she took Xianxia's hands and expressed her gratitude, saying, "All right, let's give it a shot, Madam Xiao." "Thank you. You're very gracious, Princess." Calm with her spirits lifted, Princess Shuangfu bid farewell to Xianxia with a smile, then returned to the palace under the watchful eye of the guards. Upon his return home, Xiao Yunduan inquired about the day's events. Seeing his wife's contented expression, Xianxia replied with a smile, "Princess Shuangfu is truly kind-hearted, approachable, and humble. It was quite enjoyable shopping with her." Relieved by her words, Xiao Yunduan remarked, "Crown Prince mentioned that Princess Shuangfu possesses a gentle temperament. It appears to be true." "That's right. I've never gone shopping like that before and ended up buying a variety of knickknacks. I've stored them here for her. She'll visit our home today to make her selections. I'll pack them up for her later, so she can take them with her when she gets married." Xiao Yunduan stared at his wife, puzzled. "I'll never understand what you women are thinking." The following morning, Princess Shuangfu and her servant arrived as promised. Xianxia prepared breakfast at home, serving noodles and potato pancakes. Princess Shuangfu observed her busy in the kitchen, deeply intrigued by the preparation of noodles and potato pancakes in this manner. They complimented Xianxia for her impressive culinary skills. Xianxia was left torn between laughter and bewilderment. After breakfast, they proceeded to sort through the items. While Princess Shuangfu held a sentimental attachment to all the goods she had personally acquired and wished she could take them all with her, she recognized the impracticality of this desire. Consequently, she selected 2 boxes and handed them to Xianxia. With a smile, she addressed Xianxia, saying, "Madam Xiao, please don't forget to include the strawberries and potatoes as well." Xianxia nodded reassuringly. "Certainly, I won't forget." After some thought, Princess Shuangfu hesitated and said, "Madam Xiao, I would like to bring some other items, such as seeds, flowers, plants, vegetables, fruit trees, and more. I may not be knowledgeable about them, but I wish to bring as many as possible. Madam Xiao, could you assist me in preparing these as well? Qiao Xian was taken aback by the unexpected request and felt a deep sense of respect for Princess Shuangfu's remarkable interest and ambition. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1401. That can't be better. Princess Shuangfu had grown up in the secluded palace, where such thoughts were a rarity, even if they happened by accident. In their era, maps were a precious commodity, not readily accessible to all. Families that possessed a map might risk being accused of conspiring to rebel. Although Qiao Xian had never laid eyes on a map, she had extensively questioned Xiao Yunduan about Qingdi's climate, cuisine, attire, accommodations, customs, and more. From this, she could deduce that Qingdi's situation was akin to the Tibetan region. Xiao Yunduan had brought an assortment of seeds. With proper care and a suitable planting location, there shouldn't be any issues. Qiao Xian nodded, sporting a warm smile. Why not? I'll gather some seeds for you, label them with your name, and include information about the appropriate seasonal temperatures, moisture levels, and more, so you can have someone study them. Princess Shuangfu beamed with joy. That's wonderful. Madam Xiao, thank you. With a hint of tears in her eyes, she whispered, Madam Xiao, you're such a kind-hearted person, and I have no means to repay your kindness. The journey ahead is long and filled with uncertainties. But if our paths cross in the future, and there's anything I can do to assist you, I will do so without hesitation. Of course, I hope we never meet again. Married to a distant land, bereft of her mother's affection, her contentment was primarily dependent on the crown prince's kindness. Once she journeyed afar, the palace would eventually forget her existence. There would be no homecoming in this lifetime, barring the unlikely scenario of Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan venturing to Qingdi. However, Qingdi wasn't a favorable destination for such a journey. Why would they undertake such a voyage for no compelling reason? Qiao Xian consoled her, saying, Princess, please don't dwell on such thoughts. The future is full of uncertainties, and one never knows what might transpire. Perhaps the Prince of Qingdi will come to the capital in a few years to meet the Emperor, and you could accompany him. That's not out of the question. Hearing these words, Princess Shuangfu felt a measure of relief and offered a gentle smile. You're right. With Madame Xiao's blessings, who knows what possibilities lie ahead? We might just get that chance. They exchanged warm smiles, their newfound friendship growing stronger. Princess Shuangfu extended her stay at Qiao Xian's home, even for lunch. While Qiao Xian prepared the meal, Princess Shuangfu watched with keen interest and excitement, occasionally exclaiming and complimenting Qiao Xian's culinary skills. The mouth-watering aroma wafted through the air, making her appetite ravenous. If Auntie C hadn't intervened, she would have been tempted to lend a helping hand. For lunch, Qiao Xian prepared a few homemade dishes: double-cooked pork, roasted chicken with potatoes, stir-fried beef slices, a steamed meat platter, cabbage with vinegar, and fish head soup with tofu. Princess Shuangfu's eyes lit up, and the delectable scents were positively irresistible. Having never experienced the spicy kick of chili before, she found herself captivated by the pot of pork and cabbage with vinegar, relishing the newfound spiciness. She inquired of Qiao Xian why she included chili in these two dishes, and then she expressed her delight, saying, This chili is so wonderful, such a delightful surprise. Madam Xiao, you must provide me with some chili seeds. Qiao Xian nodded, her smile unwavering. After a moment's contemplation, she proposed, Why don't I draft some recipes for you to take along, Princess? I can even have the chef prepare them as per the instructions. You don't have to adhere to them strictly, just use them as a reference. Princess Shuangfu was thrilled by the idea and showered Qiao Xian with gratitude. In the afternoon, they embarked on another shopping excursion. Yesterday, they had explored a vibrant marketplace replete with delectable treats and small items, where they had encountered bustling crowds. Today, Xian led Princess Shuangfu to an opulent shopping street. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1402. Plan well. The bustling street was adorned with high-end silk shops, embroidery ateliers, cosmetics boutiques, calligraphy and painting galleries, as well as shops offering metal and stone toys and exquisite jewelry, among other treasures. Princess Shuangfu observed the vibrant scene with great interest. Yet, her shopping frenzy of the previous day had waned. Firstly, her initial enthusiasm had dwindled. Secondly, although the wares displayed in today's shops were undeniably captivating, she had been exposed to a wealth of opulent items in the palace, making these goods seem less enticing by comparison. Thirdly, she was aware that these items were substantially costlier than those she had encountered the day before. While the princess consort had encouraged her to explore and acquire whatever she fancied, purchasing jewelry and exquisite embroideries costing thousands of taels of silver would hardly be well received. On the following day, Qiao accompanied her to the flower and bird market and the farmer's market, where they selected various seeds. They enjoyed lunch at a restaurant and spent the afternoon at a temple. Princess Shuangfu entered the temple with deep devotion before returning to the capital. 3 days had passed swiftly, leaving Princess Shuangfu filled with reluctance. Madame Xiao, I am fortunate to have had your company these past 3 days, exploring the prosperous and lively capital. I've seen so many beautiful, delectable, and fascinating things. I have no more regrets. These 3 days and you, Madame Xiao, will forever remain in my memory. Come, take good care, Madame Xiao. With these parting words, they realized that they might never cross paths again. As Princess Shuangfu approached Qiao, her eyes brimmed with tears. Unbeknownst to her, Qiao intended to escort her to Qingdi. Although Qiao harbored her own sadness, she couldn't disclose the possibility of their future reunion. She mustered a smile and responded, "Take care, Princess. It's been a privilege to explore the capital alongside you, and I'll cherish this time we've spent together. Wishing you a long and prosperous life." Princess Shuangfu nodded with tears glistening in her eyes. Likewise, Madame Xiao. Reluctantly, the two of them bid farewell, and Princess Shuangfu finally entered her carriage and made her way back to the palace. Observing her melancholic demeanor, Auntie Sis' heart ached. She mustered a smile and offered some reassurance. "Princess, these past few days of shopping were a rare and joyful experience for you. Try to find happiness in it." Princess Shuangfu mustered a smile in response. "Aunt, you're absolutely right. As a princess, I have little choice but to accept many things. Now that this marriage has been arranged for me, I must face it with composure. I must make adequate preparations. There was no time for sadness." After all, the marriage was a done deal, unalterable. She would eventually need to confront it. It was wiser to approach the situation with a level head, strategizing to secure as much dowry as possible for herself. For women, while dowry couldn't resolve all post-marital challenges, it could certainly alleviate most of them. Naturally, the more, the better. As Princess Shuangfu departed, Qiao couldn't help but feel a tinge of disappointment, letting out a sigh. Marriage to a distant land was rarely a joyful affair. Thankfully, the princess possessed an optimistic and easygoing nature. With such a disposition, she would likely find a more satisfying life. Following the Lantern Festival, the festive spirit gradually dissipated, and life returned to its usual pace. Those assigned to yamen duty took up their responsibilities, while those involved in trade resumed their business activities. Qiao had procured a variety of seeds for Princess Shuangfu. Vegetables, grains, and fruit trees were among her selections. She had wood elemental superpowers. She could tell at a glance if one seed was good or bad. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1403. Set off within 10 days with her wood elemental superpower, these seeds were almost certain to thrive, unless subjected to extreme weather conditions. If the climate remained favorable and the temperature and humidity stayed within the right range, they would flourish even more. Princess Shuangfu contemplated this as she happened upon Qiao Xian, who was more than willing to assist her. Such a connection between them was a rare and auspicious twist of fate. On the 17th day of the first lunar month, Xiao Yunduan privately contacted Old Master Qiao to inform him that the transfer order would arrive in a few days. He could start preparing for his new position as county magistrate in Fujian and would be able to depart in 10 days. Officer Qiao felt a brief moment of disappointment upon hearing this news, briefly entertaining the thought of reneging on his commitment. However, he swiftly dismissed such notions and sighed, saying, "Very well, I understand." Though he held reservations about relocating to a distant place like Fujian, it still offered opportunities for career advancement. This prospect outweighed languishing in the capital, waiting for stagnation. Thankfully, he didn't have extensive preparations to make, nor were there numerous relatives and friends to host farewell gatherings. There was also no need to expend significant time and energy on official affairs. While the 10-day time frame was somewhat pressing, it was manageable. Xiao Yunduan added, "One more thing. Lu Yen served in Xiaoding village for a while, and my wife grew quite fond of her. She intended to purchase her from you but was delayed. As you're heading to Fujian, you won't require her services. Would you be willing to sell her to us?" Calm with a pause, Third Old Master Qiao recalled who Lu Yen was. "It's not a problem. They'll have her sent to your residence later. There's no need to make a fuss." He couldn't help but feel a sense of gratification. What did this request imply? It signaled that Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan still held him dear as their father. Xiao Yunduan was determined not to become entangled with the Qiao family. "Just proceed with the purchase. I'll pay you 20% more than the market price. It's best if other members of the Qiao family remain unaware of this, to avoid unnecessary gossip." Third Old Master Qiao's gaze dimmed, and he sighed before reluctantly agreeing, "Very well, remember to provide her indenture." Of course. Third Old Master Qiao didn't think much of what a maid might accomplish, so he consented to Xiao Yunduan's request. His greater concern was how to inform his family. However, only 10 days remained, and he needed to finalize preparations, pack his belongings, arrange transportation, and bid his farewells. He couldn't afford to delay or waver, so he made his announcement without further hesitation. After dinner, Third Old Master Qiao mustered his resolve and calmly informed the Qiao family of his impending transfer to Fujian. As expected, this revelation stirred a whirlwind of reactions. "What? You just returned, and now you're leaving again? Why are you going away, third brother? What's the reason? Why wasn't this discussed earlier? Why the sudden urgency? Third brother, just be honest. Does this have anything to do with that Xiao person?" When the name Xiao was mentioned, Lady Qiao glared at him. "Third brother, is it because of that Xiao?" Third Old Master Qiao maintained his composure. "Mother, how could that be? I, too, found this development rather abrupt, but the transfer order is on the verge of issuance. I thought it best to comply. With a few more years outside, I might even be promoted to magistrate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1404. The Qiao family's scheme. Old Master Qiao scoffed, casting a disparaging glance at him. "You make it sound so facile." The disparity between a prefectural magistrate and a county magistrate was substantial. How many individuals had to endure a lifetime as county magistrates? It wasn't as simple as promotion. He lamented, "It's a shame. Xiao is on the brink of leaving the capital as an emissary, leaving only Ms. Qiao in the intermediate. Ms. Qiao is a woman, what does she comprehend? What knowledge does she possess? I was contemplating a means to bring Ms. Qiao back, mainly for third brother and third sister-in-law's sake." Madam Lady Qiao chimed in immediately, "Your elder brother is correct, third brother. You must not go. I'm convinced that Xiao is behind this." He likely orchestrated your departure from the capital deliberately to keep you from visiting that wretched girl. The entire Qiao family unanimously agreed with comments such as, "Indeed, I share that suspicion," and more. Xianxia was the daughter of third Old Master Qiao, and her lineage remained unchanged. They refused to believe she could be so cold and unfeeling. Her past grudges against the Qiao family over the years would soon dissipate, as the family had suffered hardship repeatedly. If third Old Master Qiao and Mrs. Dong humbled themselves, spoke kindly to her, offered consolation, and feigned vulnerability, Xianxia would undoubtedly soften. They were confident that Xiao Yunduan would treat her well in the future, and she would have her family's support. If Xiao Yunduan mistreated her, the elders would intervene. It was virtually impossible for her not to be swayed. Moreover, Xiao Yunduan was currently absent from the capital, leaving no one to stand in their way. They were almost certain of their success. The caveat was that third Old Master Qiao and Mrs. Dong needed to take action. No one else in the Qiao family could accomplish this. The sudden release of third Master Qiao led the Qiao family to suspect that Xiao Yunduan was the mastermind behind it. Given Xiao Yunduan's influence in the Crown Prince's circle, manipulating such matters would be relatively straightforward. Madam Lady Qiao grew increasingly incensed the more she pondered this. That Xiao fellow is so crafty and malicious. If not for him, we wouldn't be in this situation. That wretched girl might have already had a change of heart. The Qiao family shared her sentiment. Which woman would willingly sever ties with her own family? Who wouldn't yearn for the security of a family to rely on? Third Old Master Qiao felt worn out. He sighed and reasoned, "Mother, elder brother, second brother, sister-in-law, this is a decision made by the imperial court. There's no way to alter it." Madam Lady Qiao sneered. "Find a solution. What can you do?" "You could say that I'm unwell, and you need to stay and care for me," second Old Master Qiao proposed. "Alternatively, third brother, if you were to feign a severe injury and claim you're immobilized, who could compel you?" Agreed. Third Old Master Qiao's face turned pale with frustration. He retorted, "I want to go as well. There are opportunities to seize when I'm away. I refuse to remain a minor official. Furthermore, Xianxia isn't easily deceived. She shares no father-daughter bond with me, and certainly none with Mrs. Dong. Even if Xiao Yunduan departs the capital, that won't change anything. Forget about it." Second Old Master Qiao jeered, "That remains to be seen. What if she encounters a predicament and our family helps her resolve it? What if she faces a crisis and you sustain severe injuries while attempting to save her? How could she remain indifferent?" Third Old Master Qiao was rendered speechless. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1405. Stunned, what were his family's thoughts about him? Third Old Master Qiao, unable to contain his frustration any longer, uttered in a cold tone, "Back then, you made the decision to sever ties with her without even informing me. Now, you wish to acknowledge her once more. Is such a stroke of luck even possible in this world? Surely, you've crossed paths with her before. Do you genuinely believe she's easy to influence? Do you think she can be swayed so effortlessly? Furthermore, Xiao Yunduan's rise isn't solely attributed to his connection with Minister Old Yun. He is a formidable individual to reckon with. If he's the reason for my reassignment away from the capital, he must have anticipated how our family might respond to Xianxia after his departure. Even if I decide not to leave, can you assure me that he won't have alternative means to deal with us? Do you possess the certainty to manage the situation?" This marked the first time that third Old Master Qiao had engaged in such an extensive conversation with his family, and his words left the entire Qiao family in a state of bewilderment. For a moment, they stood there, lost for words, grappling with an unexplained sense of shame and guilt. "Calm, third brother." Madam Lady Qiao snapped back to her senses. All right. You've grown quite audacious, haven't you? How dare you speak to me in such a manner?" Third Old Master Qiao shook his head, his heart heavy with desolation. He sighed and stated, "In any case, my decision is made. I've conveyed what I needed to. If you doubt me, there's little more I can do. You're on your own." With that, Third Old Master Qiao turned and departed. Madame Lady Qiao was infuriated, slamming her hand on the table. "Ungrateful wretch. You think you can just leave like that? Dream on." An awkward silence enveloped everyone in the room. Third Old Master Qiao's words had truly struck a nerve. Second Mrs. Qiao softly murmured, "It's easy for third brother to speak that way. If you ask me, it's partly his fault. If he had written to us earlier about that Xiao girl, we wouldn't have severed ties so hastily. We share the blame for not communicating." "That's true." Others joined in with their thoughts before quietly retreating to ponder their own concerns. Third Madame Qiao had been preoccupied with her health issues and was absent when Third Old Master Qiao returned. Upon his arrival, he instructed her to prepare for departure. All three branches would be leaving the capital with him. Xiao Yunduan hadn't requested him to go alone. He was resolute about ensuring the third branch members left the capital. There was no room for negotiation. Third Madame Qiao had long been dissatisfied with their current circumstances, and nothing seemed to be going their way. Upon learning of the impending relocation, she hesitated only briefly before making up her mind to go, despite Fu Zhen's remoteness. In the presence of the county magistrate's wife, everyone showed deference and flattery, which was preferable to staying in the capital and enduring mistreatment. The remote location was a minor concern. None would dare to disregard the authority of the county magistrate's wife. However, thoughts turned to Qiao Wei's family. At this point, Third Madame Qiao felt conflicted once again. Qiao Wei was no longer a child. If she accompanied the old master, she would only be able to rely on the people over there. But what if the old master decided to relocate her? What would happen to Qiao Wei then? Leaving her behind meant they would be separated, with little chance of seeing each other. If any issues arose, Third Madame Qiao wouldn't be able to provide assistance. However, if he took Qiao Wei with him, where could they find a suitable marriage for her in such a short time? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Her old master had certainly excelled in handling the affairs in the family's inner circle. What a disappointment! She consoled Xiao Wei, saying, "Let's wait until we depart the capital." No matter what the old master had in mind, concubine Du wouldn't escape her fate. The woman had destroyed her daughter's marriage, and this debt would never be repaid. There was no chance she'd let her off in this lifetime. Since concubine Du had dared to act as she did back then, she should be ready to face the consequences. It was only after Qiao Wei's emotional outburst that Third Madame Qiao learned that Lu Yen had gone missing. Upon inquiring with Third Old Master Qiao, he vaguely mentioned that he couldn't bring so many people on the journey and had sold her. Third Madame Qiao remained skeptical, but lacking any evidence, she had no choice but to relent. After all, Lu Yen was just a maidservant. Madame Lady Qiao, as well as the first and second branches of the family, put up a fuss and tried to dissuade them. However, Third Old Master Qiao had made his decision and remained resolute. Lu Yen had been dispatched by Old Master Qiao to serve Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had been closely monitoring the Qiao family's activities. They felt reassured when the directive was issued just as Third Old Master was preparing to depart. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1407. Better to stay at Qiao family. Qiao Xian had no desire to meet with Lu Yen. He harbored an aversion to those who betrayed their masters, and Lu Yan's prior performance in Shouting Village had been less than satisfactory. Had it not been for Qiao Xian's use of intimidation to keep her in check, she might have taken drastic actions. Qiao Xian was indifferent to her surrender, but he believed in offering fair exchange. He instructed Xianxia to temporarily relocate Lu Yen to the farm in Cloudwater Town. Once Third Old Master Qiao and the rest of his party had left the capital, and everything had settled down, they would return to finalize her arrangements. To avoid potential complications, Qiao Xian chose not to inform Lu Yen of this decision. While Lu Yen might have felt a tinge of disappointment about not serving at the Xiao family's residence, she was relieved to have left the tumultuous Qiao family behind. At this moment, she was obedient and cautious, far from daring to voice any complaints. She had a good understanding of Madame Xiao, formerly known as Second Mississippi. She knew her to be a kind and compassionate woman who wouldn't mistreat her, even if she were relocated to the farm. At the very least, it would be an improvement over staying at the Qiao family. Upon her arrival at the manor, Lu Yen found herself content with her new surroundings, despite its somewhat remote location. Calm 10 days flew by swiftly. The weather had mostly cleared up, with a high, bright sun, and gradually diminishing bone-chilling cold. The residents of the capital had shed their heavy winter attire, opting for lighter cotton clothing. Third Old Master Qiao discreetly left the capital with his wife, concubines, servants, and a low profile. As they ventured further south, the temperature would gradually rise, making their journey more manageable. He had paid a substantial price to overcome the Qiao family. Madame Lady Qiao threw a tantrum, and her brothers and sister-in-law persistently pestered him, almost depleting the entire family's resources. Old Master Qiao had painstakingly collected antiques over the years, yet only 2 or 3 were left in his possession. Madame Lady Qiao took the rest. Furthermore, Madame Lady Qiao and her 2 brothers coerced them into a yearly agreement for a payment of 600 taels of silver. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had plotted against him, and the Qiao family clearly remembered that this written agreement was the most reliable one. Regardless of what Old Master Qiao argued, he adamantly refused to commit it to paper. Third Old Master Qiao was overwhelmed, but he found himself with little room to maneuver. Refusal was not an option, or he would be unable to leave at all. While he could tolerate the fuss made by his 2 brothers, he couldn't risk opposing his mother, a situation he couldn't endure. The silver had been depleted significantly, leaving less than 200 taels. 200 taels of silver for a party of approximately 10 people in 4 carriages, encompassing their expenses for food, lodging, and other incidentals during the journey and upon reaching their destination, clearly insufficient. All they could do was remain optimistic and brainstorm solutions upon arrival. Third Mrs. Qiao was infuriated to the point of physical discomfort, but what could she do? In front of Madame Lady Qiao, she was powerless, though she could appear quite dominant. When dealing with Qiao Xian and concubine Du before departing, Third Old Master sought a meeting with Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, but they declined. What was the use? Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were well aware of the situation but chose to observe from the sidelines, showing no sympathy for Third Master. Even if he were pitiable, he was pitiable in a way that elicited contempt. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1408. Visit from Zhao Shu. Third Old Master Qiao let out a sorrowful sigh and continued on his way, resigned to his circumstances. A few days after Third Old Master Qiao's departure, Zhao Shu joyfully brought Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing to the capital. On the second day after his return to the capital, he learned that Xiao Yunduan was home for a break. With gifts in tow, he brought Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing to pay him a visit. Lord and Madam departed for the south before the new year, and I was not present. My apologies. I heard that you'll be sending the princess to Qingdi as a marriage envoy in 3 months. I thought it best to come to the capital before you set off. The weather is not bad after the new year, and we were in a hurry to reach the capital. The journey was rather smooth, allowing us to pay our respects to you and Madam on time. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but chuckle. It was already late January, with the new year arriving quite late. Nevertheless, Zhao Shu had thoughtfully made the trip to the capital while Xiao Yunduan was away. Jiangnin's bureaucracy had always kept a close watch on the capital's affairs, particularly due to the frequent movements of merchants between Jiangnan and the capital. News from the capital quickly spread to Jiangnan. This primitive communication system in ancient times was surprisingly swift. Zhao Shu discussed matters with the two of them regarding the flower fields and the perfume workshop in Hangzhou for the upcoming year. Xiao Yunduan had little interest in these affairs, but Qiao Xian did. Zhao Shu had a dedicated team of managers, shopkeepers, and workers who handled everything efficiently. Even the sales channels had been secured. Qiao Xian had no objections to these arrangements. As long as he was aware, it was all fine. The only source of regret lay in the fact that she would be traveling with Xiao Yunduan and wouldn't have the opportunity to visit Jiangnan again. Nevertheless, she had been to Jiangnan the previous year and had invested considerably in Hanada, expecting it to thrive. Qiao Xian casually reminded Zhao Shu, "Young Master Zhao, the land you acquired is excellent, and the flower and wood seedlings are of high quality. Your subordinates will look after them. When spring arrives, those flowers and trees will grow lush. You better be prepared in case there's an abundance of flowers, and the workshop becomes quite busy. It would be a waste." Zhao Shu was delighted with Qiao Xian's praise and nodded. "If you hadn't brought it up, I wouldn't have thought of it. Madam Xiao, you're absolutely right. They'll make sure they keep an eye on things and get ready. I invested a significant sum in acquiring those flower seedlings. The field stewards mentioned that our flowers and trees are well suited for the winter. They have full buds and are sure to flourish in the warmer weather. We're bound to make a substantial profit this year." Perfume had only been introduced in the latter half of the previous year. Though the glass bottles were not cheap, a small bottle worth more than 100 taels of silver still generated substantial profit. Zhao Shu had overseen this endeavor entirely on his own, different from taking charge of the 100,000 mu of mulberry gardens. He experienced a special sense of achievement, especially as the profits continued to grow and multiply. His motivation was at an all-time high. Qiao Xian smiled. "If everything proceeds smoothly in the workshop, we'll make quite a profit. In any case, I must remind you, young Master Zhao." Zhao Shu responded with a smile. "Rest assured, Madam Xiao, I won't forget about it." After a brief stay, Zhao Shu stood up to take his leave. He mentioned that he had reserved a private room at Dian restaurant and invited the two of them for dinner the following evening. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1409. He really likes them. Dian Restaurant's roasted whole lamb is renowned, and I've made a special reservation. Well, roast it right there tomorrow. The shopkeeper just happened to acquire another deer today, so we can also savor roasted deer meat and braised deer tendons tomorrow. I consider myself fortunate to have arrived in the capital. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan readily agreed. Qiao Xian then added with a smile, "I'm available the day after tomorrow, so come over for dinner. I can prepare some dishes for you." Zhao Shu was delighted and quickly accepted the invitation. When they invited him to dine, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan treated him like a close friend. While Zhao Shu was not lacking in wealth, he lacked the backing of a powerful official, making many individuals covetous of his family's business. Most importantly, throughout their interactions, he had genuinely grown fond of them, enjoying their company, and hoped they considered him a true friend. He believed he must have been blessed by his late mother to have encountered this couple. Their involvement had resolved his numerous predicaments, like having another set of parents to protect him in all situations. He was convinced that seeking assistance from anyone else would not have yielded as favorable an outcome as it had now, and the price he would have to pay would have been significantly higher. Concurrently, he had paid them less than 1,000,000 taels of silver, which he believed to be an exceptional value. After all, the 100,000 mu of mulberry gardens that Qiao Xian had reclaimed for him generated more than 700,000 taels of silver annually. Additionally, there were the promissory notes, totaling several million taels of silver. Furthermore, he had taken advantage of the situation to acquire nearly all of Zhao Mu's assets, which were invaluable. His mother had divorced him and left Zhao Mu, a decision immeasurable in terms of money. Only Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan would undertake such an action for him. No one else would have done so. However, despite all they had done for him, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan showed no inclination to claim credit. They continued to wear warm smiles and treated him with grace. They had even provided him the opportunity to amass wealth, with the perfume business proving exceedingly profitable. This deeply touched him. As they departed from the Xiao family, Zhao Shu appeared as radiant as the sun, sporting an expansive smile that almost reached his ears. Unable to contain his excitement, he turned to Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing. Madame Xiao and Lord Xiao are inviting me to dinner, treating me as one of their own, aren't they? Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing also felt a great deal of joy. That's right, or else Madame Xiao wouldn't have offered to cook for us. I've heard that Madame Xiao is an excellent cook, and Li Xia and Li Qiao boast about it constantly. Madame Xiao and Lord Xiao treat you with sincerity, which puts our young master at ease. Indeed, I'm at ease, Zhao Shu exclaimed proudly, a touch of emotion in his voice. He quickly added, Uncle Qing, we can't arrive empty-handed. Think about what gifts would be suitable. They should be both valuable and appropriate. Oh, and there's more. Tomorrow, Aunt Qing, you can purchase some renowned desserts, preserves, delicacies, and the like and send them over. Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing consented. The elderly couple exchanged glances, their emotions a blend of amusement and fondness. They understood that their young master had mentioned this not just because he was visiting them the following day but for other, undisclosed reasons. Unable to contain her curiosity, Aunt Qing gently reminded him, Young master, there are some matters that become more challenging to address the longer they are postponed. When do you plan to discuss that with them? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14:10. I'm not prepared. Uncle Qing nodded in agreement. That's exactly what I was going to suggest. It's better to address it sooner rather than later. Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao are reasonable individuals, and I doubt they will have any objections. Indeed, procrastination might make us appear insincere, and it could even irk Lord Xiao. He may appear gentle, but when angered, he can be quite formidable. Absolutely. Zhao Shu responded with a nervous expression. A tingling sensation ran down Zhao Shu's spine, and he instinctively contemplated a hasty retreat. He meekly questioned, Must we discuss it now? I'm not fully prepared yet. How about we wait until Lord Xiao returns from Qingdi? Who said it's not too late? Aunt Qing remained resolute, offering a warm smile. By then it will indeed be too late. Discussing such matters sooner rather than later demonstrates your sincerity. Young master, why don't you prepare for it tomorrow? We can converse in 2 days. Zhao Shu. Uncle Qing cleared his throat. Young master, do keep in mind that two may keep counsel, putting one away. If Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao discover this through other channels, the consequences. Calm. Zhao Shu shuddered and hastily replied, Yes, yes. Count me in. I'll certainly discuss it when I visit the day after tomorrow. In such a scenario, there was no room for explanation, and Lord Xiao might react quite harshly. For some reason, this was his instinctual reaction. Observing his response, both Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing felt a mix of amusement and exasperation. They continued to offer him encouragement and support as they went on their way. Once they had departed, Xiao Yunduan's attention wandered for a moment before he turned to Qiao Xian. Do you find Zhao Shu and his attendants a bit peculiar? Qiao Xian was taken aback and responded with a smile. No, why would you think that? Xiao Yunduan chuckled. Perhaps I'm overthinking it. He sensed that Zhao Shu avoided making eye contact with him, appearing as if he were burdened by a guilty conscience, attempting to win his favor. Qiao Xian unwrapped the gift and exclaimed, This is far too extravagant. Young Master Zhao is wealthy, but he shouldn't be this extravagant. Zhao Shu had offered such a lavish gift as an apology for not returning to Hangzhou before the new year. Qiao Xian knew it would be costly, as someone as indolent as Zhao Shu wouldn't have presented such a gift otherwise. Nevertheless, he didn't anticipate it being this extravagant. The gift contained over a dozen pieces of pure gold jewelry adorned with gemstones. The pair of auspicious G gold hairpins featured 7 or 8 gemstones in varying sizes, with the 2 largest rubies being even larger than a thumb, pure red and flawlessly transparent without any impurities. A gem of this caliber was valued at a minimum of 20,000 taels of silver. These golden hairpins alone were estimated to be worth 70,000 to 80,000 silver coins. The entire set of jewelry was likely valued at around 200,000 taels of silver. The gift was truly exorbitant. Additionally, there was a simple and refined white porcelain flower tea set, worth at least 10,000 taels of silver. Xiao Yunduan was equally surprised. They exchanged glances. Could it be that young Master Zhao encountered some trouble? Or perhaps he believes we're overly petty and is upset about his inability to return to Hangzhou in time, so he's making amends? Xiao Yunduan furrowed his brows and shook his head with a smile. I don't think so. He lacks understanding and I believe, so do Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing. Perhaps he is seeking our favor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1411. Strange. Xiao Yunduan pondered her attempts to please him and felt that his intuition might be accurate, after all. Upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's thoughts, Qiao Xian decided not to dwell on it. She responded with a smile, no need to overthink it. Since he's here, let's welcome him warmly. We can reciprocate with a generous gift when he gets married. They had already accepted the gift, so it wouldn't be appropriate to return it. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were aware that a wealthy individual like Zhao Shu wouldn't be troubled by 200,000 silver taels. He wasn't hurt by this gift, otherwise, he wouldn't have accepted it. Surprisingly, it seemed that Zhao Shu was quite eager to give gifts. The next day and the day after, Aunt Qing visited with gifts, either as valuable as the previous ones or items purchased in the capital. On the first day, they brought exquisite treats from Jinxiang restaurant and top-grade swiftlet nests. The second day, they gifted 18 types of candied fruits and a box of sea cucumbers and abalones. Qiao Xian began to feel that their politeness was excessive, and she intended to decline the gifts. However, Aunt Qing, with a friendly smile, insisted that the gifts were of little value and it would be impolite not to accept them. Thus, Qiao Xian had no choice but to accept. Xiao Yunduan became increasingly convinced that Zhao Shu had a hidden agenda. He decided to wait and see what he had in store. Come on the day of Zhao Shu's visit, Qiao Xian prepared a lavish meal, including a seafood feast, chicken and turtle casserole, longan duck soup, steamed ham, winter bamboo shoots with buns, and stir-fried pea shoots. While it appeared to be a simple home-cooked meal, she had invested significant effort and used high-quality ingredients. Cooking a pot of premium soup alone required a multitude of delicacies. Each dish was carefully prepared, whetting the appetite. It was evident that they had gone to great lengths to make the meal special. Madame Xiao's culinary skills are truly exceptional. We're in for a treat today. Zhao Shu praised. Qiao Xian playfully responded, I haven't even tasted it yet, and young Master Zhao is already singing my praises. Don't be disappointed. Zhao Shu chuckled, No. It looks delicious, so it must be really delicious. Qiao Xian couldn't help but laugh. With no outsiders present and a limited number of people, there was no need for formalities. The three of them sat down at the table, and Xiao Yunduan, as the host, took the initiative to invite everyone to start the meal. Zhao Shu was courteous and appreciative, responding appropriately and savoring the meal. After the meal, they enjoyed tea and chatted in a warm room with a heated brick bed and a large fire basin. The cozy ambience dispelled the cold chill of early spring. Zhao Shu appeared distracted, as if he had something to say. Even Qiao Xian sensed that something was amiss. Xiao Yunduan found it amusing. What was going through this man's mind? Why was he struggling so much? If he continued to hesitate like this, he might never find the words to say. Regardless of the topic, Xiao Yunduan wanted to get to the bottom of it. After all, they were business partners, and he and his wife were soon departing for Qingdi. He needed Zhao Shu to oversee their affairs, so there shouldn't be any reservations. Although he had connections with the East Palace, Xiao Yunduan wasn't audacious enough to request the Crown Prince's involvement in their family business. Even if he were to seek assistance from the Crown Prince and it was granted, he would still delegate the management of the business to the palace stewards. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14:12. Reaction: Who among the stewards of the East Palace didn't hold themselves in high regard? During that time, expecting them to care for their affairs was wishful thinking. Avoiding causing trouble and making things difficult for them would be more realistic. With Xiao Yunduan and his wife absent, how could Xianxia dare to oppose an East Palace steward? Xiao Yunduan gave Zhao Shu a playful glance and said with a grin, "Young Master Zhao, are you facing a dilemma? Why don't you share your troubles? I might be able to offer some advice." Oh no. Zhao Shu was taken aback, rapidly shaking his head and waving his hands as if by reflex. He repeated the motion several times. Zhao Shu's face reddened as he stammered. Zhao Shu was generally an open-minded person. His mother, Madame Zheng, had instilled good values in him. Even though he had been mistreated by his biological father and harbored hatred while seeking the truth for his mother, it hadn't made him become bitter or gloomy. It was a rare sight to see straightforward Zhao Shu stammering in such a manner, appearing somewhat lost and guilty. It was truly intriguing. Xiao couldn't contain her laughter and teased, "Young Master Zhao, do you not consider us your friends?" No. Absolutely not. Zhao Shu shook his head even more fervently. Xiao suddenly caught on and her eyes gleamed with curiosity. Is young Master Zhao in love and planning to get married? Why be so embarrassed? Zhao Shu covered his mouth, bent over, and began coughing uncontrollably, nearly choking on his own saliva. Cough. Xiao was speechless. Wasn't the reaction a little too big? She couldn't help but laugh. Xiao Yunduan was equally baffled. Young Master Zhao, don't worry, not in a hurry? Zhao Shu was anxious. Even Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing were standing by, feeling anxious on his behalf. At this moment, Zhao Shu steeled himself, throwing caution to the wind. He stood up abruptly. Taking a deep breath, he advanced, lifted his robe, and knelt down in front of Xiao Yunduan and Xiao. "Lord Xiao, Madam Xiao, I wish to marry Taodao. She said shall abide by your decision regarding her marriage. Please grant my request." The room fell into an eerie silence. Xiao's mouth hung open, her eyes wide, as if in a trance. Xiao Yunduan remained expressionless. Zhao Shu's heart raced, his anxiety akin to the tension of a plucked zither string. He kept his head bowed, pleading earnestly, "Lord Xiao, Madam Xiao, please grant my wish." Seeing this, Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing weren't sure whether to laugh or cry. What on earth was their young master doing? And why did he choose this moment to kneel? Moreover, it was a joyful occasion. Why would he kneel? Yet, as their master had knelt down, it would be improper for them to remain standing, so they knelt behind him. Uncle Qing said, "Lord Xiao, Madam Xiao, our young master is truly sincere." Aunt Qing added, "Yes, indeed. Our young master is absolutely serious." Xiao Yunduan ignored Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing's words, focusing solely on Zhao Shu. He spoke in an even tone, "Say that again." Xiao exhaled deeply, placing a hand on her chest. This was just utterly unbelievable, wasn't it? What on earth was happening here? Zhao Shu gathered his courage and repeated himself, earnestly and respectfully, as if he had said it exactly as he intended, I wish to marry Taodao. Please, Lord Xiao, Madam Xiao, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1413. A Little Awkward Bang. Xiao Yunduan slammed her fist onto the coffee table beside her, her gaze icy as she locked eyes with Zhao Shu. I thought that as partners, we should stick to the rules and refrain from interfering in each other's affairs. Do not investigate my family any further, or you'll leave me with no choice but to be impolite. Zhao Shu was left utterly bewildered. His mind went blank as he stood there, dazed. Quickly, Uncle Qing stepped in and clarified, Lord Xiao, please don't misunderstand. Our young master is genuinely interested in marrying Miss Xiao. He's not seeking a mere marriage alliance. Zhao Shu snapped out of his stupor and anxiously exclaimed, Yes, Lord Xiao, I'm innocent. Please don't think that way. I genuinely want to marry Tao Tao. How could Lord Xiao possibly misconstrue his intentions? Zhao Shu was shocked and wrongly accused. Xiao Yunduan, however, remained skeptical of his words. Is that so? Have you been to our village? What were you doing there? The trio of master and servants found themselves at a loss. Common uncomfortable silence hung in the air. Zhao Shu averted his gaze, his smile carrying a hint of guilt. You're absolutely right. Qiao Xian offered a reassuring smile. Young Master Zhao, please rise. Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing, take your seats. Let's have an open conversation and clear the air. Zhao Shu gratefully nodded to Qiao Xian but proceeded with caution. He glanced at Xiao Yunduan's uninviting expression. Only when he noticed no signs of her intervening did he gingerly get to his feet. Thank you, Madam Xiao. Seeing Zhao Shu's movements, Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing followed suit. Zhao Shu sat down, still on edge. As he caught the unfriendly look Xiao Yunduan was giving him, a shiver ran down his spine. He couldn't afford any further delay and began explaining everything from the very beginning. Speaking of this, it all began with mere curiosity. Zhao Shu was genuinely thrilled about Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's victory over Zhao Mu and held them in high regard. Upon learning that they hailed from Yuzhong, he couldn't resist his inquisitiveness. Coincidentally, he found himself with plenty of leisure time. After all, his family had left behind a capable team of managers to handle their affairs. Delegation was the name of the game, and there were always competent individuals to carry out his instructions. With that in mind, he decided to explore Yuzhong and enjoy his time there. During his stay in Yuzhong, he serendipitously made the acquaintance of Yuezhing Xiao. It struck him that Madame Xiao, who had a remarkable aura about her, might be a well-known figure in Yuzhong as well. Lord Xiao, despite his humble origins, had never faced financial woes after settling in the capital. On the contrary, they were exceedingly generous with their wealth. It was clear that their prosperity couldn't have been amassed through farming alone. This piqued Zhao Shu's curiosity, and he couldn't help but pose the question to Yuezhing Xiao. After some inquiries, the pieces fell into place. What a coincidence! Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had a close connection to one another. This revelation further deepened Zhao Shu's admiration for the pair. Thus, he decided to journey from the provincial city to Heshan County with the intention of visiting the Xiao family in Xiaoding village. After all, he was already in the vicinity. As business partners, and with Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao being occupied in the capital, he saw his visit as an opportunity to exchange news and share their experiences. It was a natural extension of their relationship. Ms. Fang and Tao Tao missed Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian deeply, but they understood that the distance and the demands of their capital life made frequent visits impractical, especially for Xiao Yunduan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1414. Zhao Shu's tears and laughter. The moment Zhao Shu arrived, he was met with joy from Ms. Fang, Yang Xiaoni, Xiao Sanlang, and the entire family. He was treated with the utmost respect, like an honored guest. However, Tao Tao remained skeptical amidst the celebrations. She confided in her mother, expressing her concerns about this newcomer. She noted that he didn't possess any letters from her fifth brother or fifth sister-in-law, nor any tokens she recognized. How could she blindly trust his every word? What if he was a deceitful impostor with hidden agendas? What if he was not a friend of fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law, but an adversary? What if he had deliberately infiltrated their home to stir up trouble? Miss Fong was seized by anxiety, her brow furrowing. She reassured Cao Cao, "Thank goodness, my Cao Cao is perceptive and cautious. You're absolutely right. Unlike me, I was so elated that I nearly lost my wits. Oh dear, what if this jeopardizes your fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law? What am I to do?" Her tone hardened as she scolded, "Your brothers and sisters-in-law are all a bit thoughtless and didn't consider these possibilities. They're truly thoughtless. Tomorrow morning, you'll discreetly have your third brother keep an eye on them. I might have to send them away." Cao Cao offered a reassuring smile and suggested, "Mother, perhaps our brothers and sisters-in-law were just too overjoyed and didn't think things through. It may not be wise to chase them away hastily. What if they are indeed friends of fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law? Don't you want to learn about their well-being?" Ms. Fong hesitated once more, her longing for her son and daughter-in-law undeniable. The distance between them was simply too vast. Her heart ached at the thought of missed opportunities. Cao Cao had a clear plan in mind. "It's quite simple. Let's exercise caution and discreet vigilance, probing their intentions before taking action. If they prove to have ulterior motives, well, our family won't be easy to intimidate." Given the Xiao family's esteemed reputation in the village, numerous individuals were more than willing to lend their assistance. Furthermore, the Xiao family was blessed with a surplus of male members. Ms. Fong beamed with delight and exclaimed, "That settles it." Mother and daughter began their discussion. By a stroke of coincidence, their conversation unfolded in the backyard, and Zhao Shu, who had been curiously wandering about, happened to overhear most of it. Caught in a quandary, Zhao Shu couldn't help but feel a mix of amusement and exasperation. However, he held no grudge against Cao Cao for her suspicions. After all, he was an absolute stranger to the Xiao family, devoid of any substantiating evidence. Why should they readily trust him? In reality, he was truthful and harbored no ill intentions. He was more than willing to divulge any information and faced the Xiao family's scrutiny without trepidation. In fact, not only did Ms. Fong and the others put their faith in Zhao Shu, but he also seized the opportunity to foster a connection with Cao Cao. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but cast an icy glare at Zhao Shu. Why had he failed to discern the peculiar rapport between them? It was blatantly apparent that this individual's tone bore an air of familiarity, as if he had encountered such situations before. The more Xiao Yunduan scrutinized this person, the more he found himself disliking him. This individual had employed flowery words and tactics to deceive Cao Cao. Having grown up in the opulent and picturesque environs of Jiangnan, he was well versed in all aspects of indulgence and revelry, boasting a rich repository of tricks. How unsuspecting was Cao Cao? She had never encountered such a scenario, making her susceptibility to deception entirely plausible. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14-15. You're finally an understanding person. This behavior was truly reprehensible. Xiao Yunduan paid no heed to anything further that Zhao Shu had to say. In any case, it was abundantly clear that Cao Cao had fallen for him, and his family seemed to be quite taken with him as well. Thankfully, his family wasn't hasty. They understood that decisions of this magnitude should be made by him and his wife. Fortunately, after a while, Zhao Shu completed his discourse and turned towards Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Xiao Yunduan fixed him with a withering glare that sent shivers down Zhao Shu's spine. He averted his gaze, bowing his head as though he had committed an offense, appearing pitiable. Xiao Xian struggled to stifle a laugh, knowing that her husband was furious at that moment, and she didn't want to disrespect him by laughing. I understand. Young Master Zhao, it's growing late. Why don't you return for now?" Madam Xiao, but you may leave now, Xianxia said, her voice gentle but resolute, a smile gracing her face. We'll discuss this further later. Zhao Shu regarded her with a pleading expression. Xiao, feeling a hint of remorse, explained, Tao Tao is the sole daughter in our family, and she's cherished by everyone, especially our old master, who holds her in high regard. But you sprang this on us so suddenly. We need some time to process this, don't you think? Moreover, marriage is a momentous decision, and it wouldn't be prudent to rely solely on your word, wouldn't you agree? It was a valid point, but Zhao Shu couldn't help but feel that Lord Xiao was harboring ill feelings towards him. He was still agitated. Aunt Qing chimed in with a warm smile. Madam Xiao is right. Young master is at fault in this matter. How about we revisit this once Lord Xiao returns from Qingdi? Young master's intentions toward Miss Xiao are sincere, so please have faith in Lord Xiao. His young master had formed a friendship with Lord Xiao and Madam Xiao, but venturing into their hometown and pursuing a romantic connection with a local girl raised suspicions. It was challenging to explain if his intentions weren't genuine. It was only natural for Lord Xiao to be incensed. In truth, when Aunt Qing and Uncle Qing learned that their young master had visited someone else's home and proposed marriage, they foresaw that this situation could turn problematic. However, young master genuinely appeared to have feelings for Miss Xiao. Over the years, numerous women had persistently pursued young master, and many families had expressed their desire for a matrimonial alliance. Yet, young master had steadfastly declined these offers. To win over Miss Xiao's affections, he had taken the initiative to correspond with her from Yuzhong and purchased various gifts from Hangzhou that girls typically appreciated. Such efforts were clearly not mere capricious whims. After all, young master had encountered countless charming young ladies before. If he had a genuine interest in impressing a girl, Yuzhong province offered an array of splendid options. Xiao couldn't help but think, you certainly comprehend. Of course, you can head back for now. Very well, Madam Xiao. Without further explanation, Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing escorted Zhao Shu away. Turning around, Zhao Shu noticed that Xiao Yunduan hadn't even spared him a glance. Frustration welled up within him, understanding that it was improbable to secure a definitive response. He departed unhappily. As they settled into the carriage, Tao sighed and pondered, Uncle Qing, Aunt Qing, do you reckon Madam Xiao might offer some clarity if I return tomorrow? Or perhaps after she gives birth? Uncle Qing and Aunt Qing exchanged a bemused look, torn between laughter and exasperation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14-16. Zhao Shu's thoughts. Aunt Qing found amusement in the situation. Young master, why the rush? Didn't you mention that the Xiao family has taken a liking to you, and Miss Xiao seems interested? Lord Xiao is a gentleman. He doesn't require a formal marriage alliance for his sister. Naturally, he will approve of anyone his sister favors. Nevertheless, I must admit that our actions may have been somewhat thoughtless. It seems like we've inadvertently complicated matters for the girl in the Xiao family due to Lord Xiao. It's no wonder Lord Xiao might be a bit irritated. Thankfully, you're an upstanding young man, young master, or Lord Xiao might have been even less amicable. Zhao Shu rubbed his nose, feeling a touch of guilt. I didn't anticipate this either. To be honest, I had merely intended to pay a visit on behalf of Lord Xiao and reconnect with my family. I didn't foresee. His expression softened, and a faint smile graced his lips as he continued, I didn't anticipate it would turn out this way. He hadn't anticipated that the girl from the Xiao family would be so captivating and pure-hearted. He had fallen in love with her and wasn't willing to let her go to anyone else. This is why we must exercise patience in this matter. Zhao Shu inquired, Aunt Qing, do you believe Lord Xiao will eventually agree? Aunt Qing thought for a moment before responding, Don't put me on the spot with that question. I couldn't possibly provide a definitive answer. Just have faith. As long as it's in Miss Xiao's best interest, I'm confident that Lord Xiao will ultimately give his approval. Zhao Shu instinctively puffed out his chest. No one can care for Cao Tao better than me. Aunt Qin. It was good that he possessed such confidence. Zhao Shu sighed once more. I'm uncertain about Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao's stance on this. Xiao Yunduan expressed his annoyance. This Zhao Shu is simply unbelievable. What does he intend to do at our residence? Tao, could it be that she truly harbors affection for him? Xiao Yunduan was strongly opposed to it, harboring serious doubts about Zhao Shu's true intentions. Being the trusted aide of the crown prince, he feared that any ulterior motives could negatively affect his family members who were thousands of miles away. The mere fact that Zhao Shu had undertaken such a lengthy journey left him with underlying concerns. The concern was that if Zhao Shu could come, it opened the door for others to follow. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but ponder Zhao Shu's true intentions. Zhao Shu was clearly not as candid and straightforward as he appeared on the surface. If he had any hidden agenda, Cao Tao might not be equipped to handle it. Qiao Xian posed a question. What if Cao Tao genuinely has feelings for him? Would you still object? Xiao Yunduan found himself at a loss for words. After some contemplation, he gently shook his head and furrowed his brow. I'm not sure either. Once Cao Tao established her own reputation, she would never settle for an ordinary farmer. That wouldn't be fair to her. On the other hand, they couldn't marry her off to high-ranking officials' families either. That would come with its own set of challenges and potential suffering for Cao Tao. Cao Tao's situation might appear as if she had the freedom to choose a spouse without familial pressures, but finding a suitable match was proving to be quite the challenge. Qiao Xian remarked, "We've had substantial interaction with young Master Zhao over a considerable period, and we've learned that he isn't a deceitful individual. With no elders or brothers, perhaps it would be wonderful if he could marry Cao Tao." Xiao Yunduan regarded Qiao Xian thoughtfully. Qiao Xian locked eyes with him. Don't underestimate Cao Tao. She's in charge of crafting lipsticks in the flower fields, and when she's busy, she supervises a team of 30 people. She's highly capable. The Zhao family is involved in business as well. Isn't that a wonderful match? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14-17. She didn't know if Zhao Shu could do it. If Cao Tao and young Master Zhao truly love each other, I believe it could be a good match. Furthermore, you hold an official position, and he's a common citizen. We still have a significant stake in the perfume workshop. If he were to ever disappoint Cao Tao, we wouldn't let him get away with it. If you're concerned about Cao Tao, there's only so much you can do. Cao Tao will eventually marry. Regardless of which family she marries into, there will always be worries. No family is without its complexities. Xiao Yunduan's countenance softened as he fell silent. Qiao Xian smiled and continued, however, speaking of young Master Zhao, he does seem rather mysterious. Let's set this matter aside for now. When we return from Qingdi, I'll go back and inquire about what's happening. Xiao Yunduan agreed, saying, I believe that's a prudent approach. We'll discuss it when we return. If Mom consents, well, it may not be out of the question. He couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. Cao Tao had always been so compliant, and now she was on the verge of marriage. Qiao Xian burst into laughter. If young Master Zhao is sincere and Cao Tao is interested, it's a positive development. If you're already this apprehensive arranging your sister's marriage, you'll be even more anxious when it comes to marrying off our daughter in the future. Calm recognizing that her comment might have been inappropriate, she blushed involuntarily. Xiao Yunduan embraced her, smiling. It won't be easy for just anyone to marry our daughter. After all, our daughter is the best daughter in the world. Qiao Xian's face grew even redder as she retorted, Enough! Xiao Yunduan whispered in her ear. If you don't want to discuss it, we won't. Our focus should be on our daughter. You. Xiao Yunduan chuckled and carried her back to their room. Some matters could be set aside. The following day, Zhao Shu didn't dare to visit the restaurant, but Aunt Qin came to deliver more gifts. The roast suckling pig had been marinated, and the lamb had been expertly prepared and cleaned. She mentioned that she intended to provide additional food for Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. To both families, this offering wasn't considered extravagant. Rather, it served as a token of their gratitude. Qiao Xian graciously accepted the gifts and reciprocated with 2 portions of venison that the Prince of Qingdi had sent her 2 days earlier. She addressed Aunt Qing with sincerity. "Aunt Qing, please refrain from sending more in the future. There's an abundance of provisions, and my husband and I won't be able to consume them all in a short period. You might not be familiar with my husband, but in my opinion, young Master Zhao should simply focus on what's necessary and set aside any additional concerns. We can discuss other matters once my husband returns from Qingdi." Aunt Qing agreed. "Very well, I shall follow your instructions. I won't come tomorrow. However, if you don't mind, Madame Xiao, may I ask something?" "Madame Xiao, it's crucial for our young master to be genuinely sincere about Miss Xiao. If he's fortunate enough to wed Miss Xiao, he must treat her with utmost care in the future." Qiao Xian turned to Aunt Qing and smiled. "Our family holds a deep affection for Tao Tao, and we desire nothing more than her happiness. While I recognize that young Master Zhao is a truly admirable person, it's essential that Tao Tao isn't subjected to any undue hardship. My husband has always aimed to find Tao Tao a man who wholeheartedly loves her and remains unwavering in his commitment, with no intentions of taking additional concubines." Aunt Qing pondered for a moment and respectfully nodded to Qiao Xian. "Thank you, Madame Xiao. I'll convey this message to our young master." Qiao Xian acknowledged her response. Aunt Qing, however, was uncertain whether her young master would consent to such terms. Observing her reaction, Qiao Xian couldn't help but inwardly sigh. She was uncertain whether Zhao Shu could adhere to these conditions or not. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 14:18. This Brainless. This was what genuinely troubled her husband. If he couldn't uphold this commitment, he would have to relinquish this prospective marriage. In that scenario, Tao Tao, who had already been deeply touched, was destined to endure heartache and hardship. In the end, Tao Tao might either persist in her suffering, or the Xiao family might compromise. However, was Tao Tao truly accustomed to the conflicts that often arose between wives and concubines within the household? Wouldn't she suffer greatly? Unexpectedly, Zhao Shu paid a visit that evening. Before Xiao Yunduan could request his departure, Zhao Shu spoke earnestly. "Lord Xiao, I will never take a concubine in my lifetime, and I won't entertain the thought of another woman. I genuinely care for Tao Tao, and she's all I need. I made a promise to my late mother, so rest assured, Lord Xiao. Well, I won't disturb you any longer. Farewell." With that, Zhao Shu hurriedly left. Calm Xiao Yunduan was left dumbfounded, unable to make sense of the situation. Reflecting on Zhao Shu's words, when Xiao Yunduan recounted the encounter to Qiao Xian, she couldn't help but burst into laughter and shared details of Aunt Qing's recent visit. Xiao Yunduan finally grasped the meaning behind those words. Though unconventional, it seemed to carry weight. Zhao Shu held profound respect for his departed mother, and he wouldn't jest about her memory. It was evident that his words held authenticity. The Zhao family's tumultuous history, largely influenced by Ms. Qin and her son, contributed to this complex situation. It made sense that Zhao Shu wanted to ensure history didn't repeat itself. Xiao Yunduan's resistance began to wane. As for Xiaoding village, at the time, Zhao Shu's arrival had garnered significant attention. The primary reason for this was his down-to-earth demeanor. He was a young and handsome man with a warm and passionate personality. He enjoyed exploring every corner of the village, engaging in friendly conversations with the land officer and other locals. His generosity also won people over. Despite his short stay in the village, he quickly became a beloved figure. His friendly disposition and open-handedness endeared him to everyone. After a while, Zhao Shu developed feelings for Tao Tao and approached Ms. Fong and eldest uncle about it, but eldest uncle wasn't enthusiastic. Eldest uncle was well aware of their family's modest background and felt they weren't suited for such an affluent household. Ms. Fang, on the other hand, held a favorable opinion of Zhao Shu. She saw him as a genuinely kind-hearted person without any ulterior motives. He lacked the guidance of a doting father and had lost his mother, which made him quite endearing to her. However, she was concerned that she might not be thinking it through thoroughly, so she deferred to Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian to make the final decision. Thus, Zhao Shu remained in limbo. Tao Tao had developed a fondness for him as well. While her parents hadn't directly mentioned it to her, she was perceptive and sensed their inclination. Upon seeing Zhao Shu again, she couldn't help but feel a touch of shyness. Nevertheless, her life experiences had taught her to push through her shyness and do what was necessary. Even though she and Zhao Shu were often in each other's company, they maintained a silent understanding, communicating politely with occasional meaningful glances. Zhao Shu's considerate nature added a unique sweetness to their interactions. Moreover, since Zhao Shu was residing in the first section of the family, which was quite extensive, as a friend of Xiao Yunduan, he made sure not to cause any disturbances unless circumstances necessitated it. However, while the first section of the family aimed to uphold their reputation, not everyone in the vicinity shared the same sense of decorum. Xiao Xiaoji from the third section was also approaching the age when discussions of marriage were expected. However, Ms. Ma had taken a lesson from the ordeal that befell the second section of the family. She was waiting for her son to reach maturity next year, possibly achieving the status of an advanced scholar or something similar. It was only then that she planned to arrange Xiao Zioda's marriage. The prospect seemed to offer the freedom of choice. Yet, upon encountering Zhao Shu, both Ms. Ma and third uncle couldn't help but feel a sense of intrigue. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1419. A family's thoughts. His son was undeniably a good person, but the unspoken agreement between them left them hesitant to guarantee that their son would certainly pass the intermediate examinations next year. What if he didn't succeed, another 3 years of waiting would be necessary, a prospect Xiao Xiaoji couldn't afford. Moreover, young Master Zhao was undeniably wealthy. With no parents, elders, or siblings to share his wealth with, should their daughter marry into his family, she would become the mistress of the household. As the sole elders of young Master Zhao, they would enjoy considerable riches. The prospect was undeniably appealing. Ms. Ma even began to sympathize with Zhao Shu, saying, "Young Master Zhao excels in many areas, but he's overly generous and somewhat indolent. How can he spend so extravagantly? Treating all those unrelated people to meals and drinks constantly. If he were to become our son-in-law, I'd have to teach him a thing or two. This extravagant generosity can't continue, with people taking advantage without offering anything in return." Third uncle concurred, stating, "Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. He's still young and inexperienced in the ways of the world. As his elders, we should guide him, so I'll take it upon myself to do just that." "I'm on board too." Ms. Ma didn't want to be left behind, adding with a chuckle, "The ones who've been taken advantage of the most are elder brother and sister-in-law. Young Master Zhao has enjoyed their hospitality while staying at their home. I'll make sure they return everything he's benefited from." "That's right." The couple engaged in a spirited conversation. Coincidentally, Xiao Xiaoji shared her feelings with Ms. Ma. She had developed feelings for young Master Zhao. Ms. Ma was absolutely thrilled to hear this. "Ah!" Third uncle exclaimed, clapping his hands with delight. "This is destiny at work. To meet unexpectedly from thousands of miles away, it's true serendipity. Otherwise, how could things align so perfectly? Just as you were considering a proposal, young Master Zhao arrived." Xiao Xiaoji blushed and turned away, feeling shy. "Mother," Ms. Ma laughed heartily and exclaimed, "Silly girl, this is a wonderful opportunity. Why are you so bashful? I'll speak with him tomorrow, no, today." Xiao Xiaoji grew even more embarrassed. She couldn't help but express her concern. But what if Elder Aunt disagrees? What if she causes trouble? Ms. Ma sneered. She wouldn't dare. Oh my, she's quite the troublemaker. She just might have the audacity to do so. I won't inform her yet. Instead, I'll tell your uncle. Well, prepare a feast with food and wine, and have your uncle bring young Master Zhao here. By sharing a meal together before discussing the matter, they were sure to be successful. When the time comes, dress up elegantly and put on your new attire. Adorn yourself with silk flowers and silver hairpins. You still have some cosmetics, don't you? Put those on as well. The family situation had improved, and Xiaoji had acquired a few new outfits and silver accessories. Xiaoji bashfully agreed, saying, Mother, do you think Elder Aunt will also like young Master Zhao? After all, Tao also needs to marry, right? What if? No, she won't, Ms. Ma asserted, her expression stern as she snorted. Don't even entertain such thoughts. Tao has your fifth cousin, doesn't she? Your fifth cousin will find a match for her. She won't try to take young Master Zhao from you, or I'll have a confrontation with them. Xiao Zioda's heart fluttered with relief. Ms. Ma was eager to see her daughter marry Zhao Shu soon, so she instructed third uncle to bring eldest uncle home. Having learned their lesson, they didn't want to inform Ms. Fang, who had Xiao Yunduan as her protector, about their plans. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1420. Unwilling to go. Even if he were to provide assistance, achieving the desired results would still elude her. Their dissatisfaction extended to eldest uncle as well, of course. They could only fault him for his superficial displays of kindness, masquerading as a caring brother and family member. These titles were nothing but empty words. If he truly desired it, he believed he could exert influence over Ms. Fang's younger associates. After all, he was the family's patriarch. By threatening them with dire consequences, Ms. Fang, Xiao Delong, and the others would not dare to defy him. However, he had never resorted to such tactics before. He merely requested their gratitude and expected them to respond in kind. Such a beautiful gesture seemed elusive. Calm nevertheless, at this moment, if he was willing to perform these superficial tasks, it would suffice. Third uncle and Mrs. Ma had originally intended to inform eldest uncle of their interest in Zhao Shu, hoping that eldest uncle would advocate for him in the third section. But upon reaching eldest uncle, third uncle had a change of heart. What if eldest brother declined to assist? They might as well keep silent and invite young Master Zhao to their home instead. Third uncle wished to entertain young Master Zhao, but eldest uncle did not view it as a significant matter. He believed third uncle was trying to establish a friendship between young Master Zhao and Xiao Luleng, so he readily consented. Third uncle was delighted. Unexpectedly, Zhao Shu was reluctant to comply. Despite his brief time in Shouting Village, he had become well-liked and developed affection for Tao. Many villagers favored the gossips. What couldn't he learn about? Zhao Shu had a clear understanding of the dynamics within the Xiao family's first, third, and second sections. Undoubtedly, his loyalty lay with the first section of the family. His encounters with Ms. Ma, third uncle, Ms. Niu, and others only deepened his dislike for them. There were individuals he simply couldn't tolerate. A single glance was enough to fuel his aversion. When the third section proposed treating him to a meal, he adamantly refused. Not only did Zhao Shu decline the offer, but he also went to Ms. Fang and Tao to share his decision, hoping to gain their favor. Tao found it amusing, while Ms. Fang was delighted and praised him. A prospective son-in-law with such an unspoken mutual understanding was truly on their side. Mount Morality Immortal stood majestic and grand. It stood at the center of the central divine continent, like a colossal pillar supporting the heavens. In fact, for tens of thousands of years, the Daoist Immortal sect had been situated upon this mountain, overlooking all beings from its lofty height. However, today, The pillar that countless cultivators of the central divine continent looked up to was now submerged in surging vital energy. The sound of rushing water echoed. Brilliant and shocking vital energy, mighty and overwhelming, collided fiercely with the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal. At every instant, a vast amount of vital energy evaporated while also causing numerous sections of the sect protection array to collapse. So, the submerging vital energy engulfing Mount Morality Immortal did not show any signs of slowing, seeming endless and boundless. What's going on? Has someone dared to attack the Daoist Immortal sect? This red vastness is the power of vital energy? How can there be such immense vital energy? Most of the Daoist Immortal sect disciples had yet to react. Just moments ago, they were cultivating in their own caves, and the next, they felt terrifying fluctuations coming from the direction of the cloud mist-blessed land. This was the scene they were faced with now. The grand Mount Morality Immortal had been submerged in surging vital energy, and at this moment, countless formations within the mountain were activated, resisting the erosion of the vital energy. Eldest uncle was taken aback and remained lost in thought for quite some time. Elder brother, we implore you to assist us in this matter. Xiaoji is your own niece. In my opinion, Yun Duan currently holds a high-ranking position in the capital. Our Lu Lang is gifted and has a bright future ahead. He's on track to be recommended for the Advanced Scholar examination next year, and if he succeeds in the mid-year assessment, he could secure an official position. Our family has undergone significant changes. We are now worthy of young Master Zhao's consideration. Eldest uncle felt a deep sense of bitterness welling up within him. How had things come to this point? So, young Master Zhao had approached me and Ms. Fong about marrying Tao Tao, but I didn't agree to it, and Ms. Fong likely had her reservations as well since she deferred the decision to our fifth son and his wife. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1421. Dream on. He had initially contemplated finding a reason to send young Master Zhao away, but Ms. Fong interjected, explaining that he was a friend of their fifth son, and she had reservations about the marriage. Since there were no disputes or unpleasant incidents, he chose to let him stay. In any case, their fifth son was present, and he wouldn't risk anything that might harm his interests. After pondering it further, he concurred with the decision, opting not to insist on driving him away. However, he resolved to keep a vigilant eye on young Master Zhao, both in the open and behind the scenes, concerned that he might engage in something with Tao Tao. Unexpectedly, third brother and his wife actually took a liking to young Master Zhao as a potential son-in-law. What could he possibly say to this? Third uncle grew irritated with him. Elder brother, you're not going to help with such a minor matter? I'm not asking for much. I just want you to extend an invitation to him at my home. He'll handle the rest. Xiaoji is such a fine young lady and is destined to be the spouse of an official. She's already in that position. Besides, he comes from a prosperous family. Why would he dislike us? Third brother, eldest uncle sighed. The Zhao family is quite distant, and you're willing to go that far? Why hesitate? As long as there's money. No, as long as the individual is suitable, why not? Besides, we don't have much to do here. Isn't it good to explore Jiangnan and broaden our horizons? Calm eldest uncle. He had hoped that third brother would back down, but it was apparent that he was deluding himself. Third brother, you see, young Master Zhao has a very refined taste. I'm concerned he might not be interested in marrying someone from our rural area. Nevertheless, Xiaoji is not just from an ordinary family, she's an official spouse. Elder brother, please help regardless of your concerns. Indeed, Ms. Ma chimed in, unable to hold back. You're not young Master Zhao, how can you be certain he's unwilling? Could it be that elder brother has taken a liking to him as a son-in-law? What nonsense are you saying? That's not the case. Then, please help us. Very well. Elder brother, remember that. The persistent couple made it impossible for eldest uncle to escape. Annoyed, he reluctantly agreed. Zhao Shu couldn't fathom his uncle's behavior. Why was he insisting on making him dine in the third section? Being Tao Tao's biological father, he felt compelled to seek his aunt's advice. Ms. Fong expressed her exasperation, sneering, "Those two were never trustworthy to begin with. What are they up to now? If they are genuinely sincere, let them go ahead. I don't believe they can achieve anything in my presence." Zhao Shu chuckled. "Since you put it that way, I'll go and see. Auntie, don't let this bother you. It's not worth it." Ms. Fong smiled. "Well, I'm just giving them a hard time and letting you laugh at me." No, it's their fault entirely. You're not to blame, Auntie." "Ha, you're quite the smooth talker." "Hee, it's the truth. Everyone appreciates honesty." "Ha." Thus, Zhao Shu brought along the servant boy Tong's Hun. The couple from the third section of the family couldn't contain their joy, their smiles reaching from ear to ear. They welcomed him eagerly, as though Zhao Shu had already become their son-in-law. Xiao Lulang was absent. He preferred spending his time reading in the library. Qiao Xian had created a modern-looking library, complete with bookshelves, tables, chairs, and all the necessary amenities. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1422. Instantly understanding Xiao Lulang had a strong affinity for that place. He had the entire spacious second floor to himself, which he always locked when leaving. If Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were at home, they would not permit this behavior, but no one else dared to raise objections. Ms. Fong, in particular, didn't mind. The space was still roomy enough for her to use. Xiao Lulang was well aware of Zhao Shu and his parents' intentions. In the past, he would have eagerly involved himself, but not anymore. Furthermore, he had reservations about the likelihood of their plan succeeding. However, he refrained from interfering, just in case. What if it actually worked? If it did, it could prove advantageous to him. After all, Zhao Shu exuded an air of sophistication, with his elegant yet understated attire, the fan in his hand, the jade pendant hanging from his waist, and the hairpin, all remarkable items. Moreover, Zhao Shu's nonchalant and natural attitude towards wealth hinted at a wealthier family background than Xiao Lulang had initially thought. Calm if this endeavor failed, it was fine too. Hence, he pretended to be oblivious to the situation, spending most of his days in the academy's intermediate library. On a particular day, Ms. Ma and third uncle extended an invitation to Zhao Shu for dinner, but he chose not to return home. Zhao Shu had grown weary of the couple's overbearing and sycophantic hospitality. If it weren't for his uncle, he would have departed long ago. However, the couple remained oblivious and unfazed by his perfunctory attitude. They continued to chatter and laugh, lavishing him with exaggerated praise, repeating the same few words ad nauseum. Ms. Ma then went to prepare the meal and asked Xiao Xiaoji to assist. Upon seeing Xiao Xiaoda's attire, Zhao Shu struggled to contain his laughter. He quickly covered his mouth and coughed to suppress his amusement. The clothing was fashioned from high-quality hang silk, most likely procured from the first section of the family. It bore a regal purple hue and was intricately embroidered with delicate orchids, exuding an aura of elegance and beauty. However, the tailoring left much to be desired, resulting in the clothes appearing rather unattractive. Moreover, the wearer, a village girl with the demeanor of a country girl, lacked any semblance of grace, talent, or refinement. Donning such attire only accentuated her awkwardness and peculiarity. To compound matters, her unevenly applied makeup, the disparity between her facial and neck skin tones, her pair of rough, weathered hands, a timid countenance, and the flamboyant silk and silver hairpin adorning her head all combined to create a comical spectacle, no matter how you looked at it. Regrettably, she seemed blissfully oblivious to it all. Her slightly smug and bashful expression was enough to sour one's appetite. Upon laying eyes on Zhao Shu, third uncle and Mrs. Ma struggled to contain their laughter. Their amusement was uncontrollable. They exchanged glances, both overjoyed. Young Master Zhao was smiling at Xiaoji. Did this not imply that young Master Zhao was fond of their daughter? Oh, what wonderful news! Mrs. Ma took Xiaoji by the arm and exclaimed, all right, I have to get back to my duties. You can sit here. It's a rare occasion to have young Master Zhao here, so you young folks can have a good chat. Young Master Zhao, this is my daughter, Xiaoji. She's renowned throughout the land as an exceptional young woman, unrivaled in virtue and ability. Enough, off you go and cook. Don't let young Master Zhao go hungry. Third uncle interjected. Zhao Shu was taken aback. Observing Mrs. Ma and third uncle beaming at her and then looking at Xiaoji, who was blushing shyly, it suddenly dawned on her what was transpiring. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1423. Slipped away. Zhao Shu seethed with anger. What was the third section of the family thinking? How could they consider such a timid girl worthy of him? He wasn't one to place much importance on family background, but he was certainly out of reach for a family like this. How could he stomach this? He stood up and forced a smile. I won't partake in this meal. I suddenly recalled that Auntie Fong prepared dumplings filled with shrimp and mushrooms this afternoon. I'll return home and have those dumplings. This meal wasn't particularly enticing, and it wasn't worth any potential complications. Hey! Third uncle attempted to halt him, grinning. You're already here. Tong's Hun pushed aside third uncle's hand. Just say what you want to say, don't touch him. My young master doesn't appreciate being manhandled. Calm third uncle shot an annoyed look at Tong's Hun, pondering that his servant was indeed audacious. Just wait, once your young master becomes my son-in-law, he'll teach you a lesson. Reluctantly, third uncle withdrew his hand and maintained a fawning smile toward Zhao Shu. Young Master Zhao, it's just a meal. We've prepared a variety of dishes, including chicken and fish. Young Master Zhao, please have a taste. No need. Zhao Shu smiled and insisted on departing. Third uncle grew anxious. Sigh. By the way, Zhao Shu suddenly paused and smiled at third uncle. My uncle has arranged a fiancé for me, and am dedicated to him. I'll be leaving in a few days, so I'll bid you farewell now, third uncle. Third uncle was taken aback. But, goodbye. Zhao Shu didn't give third uncle an opportunity to speak and swiftly made his escape. Third uncle contemplated chasing after him, but Tong's Hun restrained him, offering a sly smile. Master third uncle, stay put and don't trip. With those words, he let go and confidently walked away. Xiaoji was deeply shaken. She covered her face and hurried back to her room. Third uncle was left stupefied. He cast a glare at eldest uncle. Elder brother, why aren't you speaking up for us? Eldest uncle opened his mouth and let out a sigh. Let's just forget about it. What's the big deal? She already has a fiancé. Even he was irritated. Zhao already had a fiancé, yet he had told third uncle and Ms. Fong that he wanted to marry Tao Tao, and he was asking for their permission. Third uncle grew frustrated and impatiently pushed eldest uncle out the door. Just go. Sigh. Eldest uncle sighed as he stood in front of the closed doors. He then rushed home in anger. He intended to settle the score with that wretched Zhao Shu. To his astonishment, upon entering the courtyard, he found Zhao Shu and Ms. Fong seated under the large sweet osmanthus tree, engrossed in conversation that had Ms. Fong bursting into laughter. Eldest uncle grew even more incensed. Young Master Zhao. You, uncle. Oh, you've returned. Ms. Fong sneered as she stood up and fixed him with an icy glare. Is the meal from the third branch to your liking? How could you stomach it? Eldest uncle was so infuriated that he pointed at Zhao Shu. What about him? Ms. Fong retorted sharply. You have a poor memory, haven't you already been deceived by the third branch? Do you just believe everything they tell you? Young Master Zhao nearly got into serious trouble because of your actions. Thankfully, he was clever enough to make his escape. Zhao Shu offered a modest smile and respectfully clasped his hands before Ms. Fong. "I'm truly grateful, Aunt." Ms. Fong waved her hand dismissively. "No, no, no. You're an astute young man. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1424. Understanding Eldest Uncle Sneered. "He might understand, but do you? He claimed he wanted to marry Tao Tao, but he already has a fiancée. He's a liar." However, Ms. Fong remained unfazed by his accusation. She rolled her eyes and remarked, "He's just trying to distance himself from the third branch, that's why he's being clever about it." "Uncle, I've already explained this to Aunt. I'm only trying to appease third uncle and the others. Otherwise, I'm afraid they might get entangled and tarnish everyone's reputation. That wouldn't be appropriate. I shouldn't have deceived you. Please forgive me." Zhao Shu bowed respectfully to eldest uncle. Eldest uncle, after all this time, was he the only one who looked foolish? Ms. Fong quickly interjected, "Zhao, don't be so formal. It's all a misunderstanding. My husband didn't know what was happening, and he made a mistake. I'm not holding it against you." Eldest uncle. Calm eldest uncle remained skeptical. "Really?" Zhao Shu smiled. "Of course, I wouldn't dare to lie to you, or Lord Xiao wouldn't forgive me." Ms. Fong sneered. "You're quite something. You're assisting the third son and his wife. Are you out of your mind? It's not that I don't like Xiaoji, but do you really think she's a match for Zhao?" Even Ms. Fong wasn't entirely convinced that Tao Tao could measure up to Zhao Shu. Tao Tao was considerably more capable than Xiaoji. Eldest uncle admitted with guilt, "I third brother and his wife kept insisting that I should give it a try." Since Zhao Shu's arrival, it wasn't the first time eldest uncle had been observed engaging in foolish acts. Zhao Shu had grown accustomed to it and didn't hold it against him. Instead, he quickly spoke up to defend his uncle. "Auntie, it's all because the third branch is causing so much trouble." Ms. Fong agreed, saying, "You're absolutely right. Eldest uncle, they were his own brother and daughter-in-law." Ms. Fong praised Zhao Shu once more. "You're so astute." Zhao Shu replied, "Ha, Auntie, you're too generous." Eldest uncle felt even more embarrassed. He sighed and couldn't resist asking Zhao Shu, "How did you figure it out, I mean with them?" Zhao Shu pursed his lips and adopted a disdainful expression. Without hesitation, he responded, "I've encountered such situations many times. It's not so simple to outsmart me. How can parents continuously praise their daughter to a stranger and even insist on her accompanying a guest? Her intentions were all too obvious. If there wasn't an issue, it would be considered a miracle." Eldest uncle nearly clutched his chest, overwhelmed with embarrassment. Conversely, Miss Fong was thoroughly delighted. She sneered, "They can try whatever they want." Eldest uncle couldn't help but interject, "Enough." "Feeling embarrassed, are we?" Ms. Fong sneered. "Then you should watch your own actions. Do you think they aren't feeling embarrassed?" Eldest uncle didn't appreciate her words. "Fine." He responded and walked away. Ms. Fong muttered, "What an old fool." Eldest uncle believed the matter had come to a close. To his surprise, Xiao Xiaoji had a limited understanding of the world. She genuinely believed herself to be the future wife of an official and had taken a liking to Zhao Shu. She wept miserably at home. Ms. Ma was so irate that she berated eldest uncle incessantly. It seemed as though eldest uncle bore the blame for this setback. However, she wasn't willing to abandon the matter. She prodded third uncle, and the two of them approached eldest uncle once more. Ms. Ma then conveyed to him that she had developed an interest in Zhao Shu. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1425. Disappointment. They implored eldest uncle to compel Zhao Shu into marrying Xiaoji. Concerning the arranged marriage within his clan, they suggested canceling it or having Xiaoji marry ahead of time, while the other girl could serve as his concubine. The gatekeeper's words that were meant to pick on her were all swallowed back. Qiao Xian showed the identity, and despite her ordinary-looking dress, she was still Officer Qiao's daughter, whom the gatekeeper should not mock without reason. Also, second miss seemed like someone who could not be irritated easily. What if she caught her fault and vented anger on her? Even her own miss would not defend her at that time. Therefore, the gatekeeper made up her mind and let Qiao Xian in. She pointed in a direction and showed a passionate smile. "You are second miss, right? Elder Miss Qiao and third miss as well as my miss are all at the pavilion by the lake. Wisteria flowers are blooming. Please, have a look and enjoy, second Mississippi." Calm. What a trick! Qiao Xian immediately understood that there was something tricky in her words. She would not go there now that she had realized that something was wrong. Only stupid people would follow the direction. Qiao Xian said to the gatekeeper, "I don't know the road, can you please take me there?" "But, second miss," Qiao Xian showed a strange smile. "No? I am the guest here. Is it so difficult for you to take me there? Or do you think that I don't deserve your help?" "Of course not." The gatekeeper, who was an ant, had no choice but to lead Qiao Xian to the venue. She was mumbling to herself while walking. Who said that second miss was honest, timid and easily tricked? That person must be lying. The ant did not lead Qiao Xian there directly, fearing that her mistress would blame her for not following the order. She took her on a tour, so she could at least complete her miss order. Qiao Xian soon realized what this ant was doing. But she said nothing. She did not care if she had to walk a little more. Moreover, she was not worried that the ant would take her somewhere dangerous. She could see the whole abbey when she opened her magical senses. Nothing could escape her sight. She could sense where Qiao Wei and the other ladies were, and what they were doing. Suddenly, Qiao Xian paused. She was both surprised and overjoyed. She saw 2 small tomatoes that were growing randomly in a corner. The 2 tomatoes were not growing in a healthy way and had collapsed. There were flowers and red fruits, but they were not very big in size. It was something the Zhao family had gotten from somewhere, but they could not recognize what these plants were, so they put them randomly in this place. No one would spend much effort planting fruits. That was why they were left alone here. It was a very good thing for her. She glanced around and saw that she and the ant were alone. Qiao Xian suddenly let out a scream and paused in her steps. "I seem to have dropped my handkerchief. Ant, please find it for me." The ant had no intention of helping her, but she suddenly thought of something and nodded immediately. Qiao Xian smiled. "You have to return and lead the way for me, otherwise I will go home." Startled, the ant said with her breath held, "Second miss, don't worry, I definitely will return soon." She had intended to leave directly, but if Qiao Xian left because of her absence, her miss would definitely blame her. Second miss was an honest and easily bullied person? That was incorrect. The moment that ant left, Qiao Xian went to pick up 2 large tomatoes and put them in arms. She was cheering happily inside her heart at this moment. Even if they didn't express their gratitude, he never held it against them. But how could they speak about him in such a manner? Upon seeing the despondent expression on eldest uncle's face, third uncle and Mrs. Ma felt not a shred of remorse. Instead, they appeared utterly delighted. They cursed and departed in anger. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1426. Parental family eldest uncle remained stunned for a while before he heaved a sigh and slowly made his way back home. He opted not to divulge the matter to Miss Fong. The more third uncle and Mrs. Ma ruminated on the situation, the more infuriated they became. Unexpectedly, Xiaoji had fallen for Zhao Shu and was resolute about marrying him. "I'm even willing to be a concubine. Can I become one, please?" Ms. Ma was so exasperated that she blurted out, "What nonsense are you spouting? Is being a concubine something desirable? Are you out of your mind to willingly embrace an inferior status? Xiao Xiaozhi, teary-eyed, responded, "Why not? We can become concubines. Young Master Zhao and his family are good people. They will surely treat me well. Furthermore, my cousin is a high-ranking official in the capital, and my brother has now become a cultivated talent, soon to be a recommended man and an advanced scholar. He'll also secure an official position. Even if I become a concubine, everyone in the Zhao family, including young Master Zhao, his wife, or anyone else, will treat me well. In addition, if I marry into another family, would it be any better than following young Master Zhao?" Xiao Xiaozhi had observed the first branch of the family's increasing prosperity over the past 2 years. While her family hadn't benefited directly, she had witnessed it to some extent. She had also indirectly benefited from the first branch of the family. For instance, she received a few pieces of quality fabric for tailoring clothes each year. She received a few pieces of silver jewelry, silk flowers, threads, needles, as well as delectable pastries, preserves, and various foods. While it wasn't a lot, she had tasted and seen them. Moreover, she watched Tao Tao grow more capable as time went on. Her eyes appeared to shine, and she exuded a newfound confidence. This transformation was beyond what a village girl could achieve, leaving Xiao Xiaozhi feeling envious and resentful. She believed that Tao Tao's shift in demeanor wasn't due to her responsibilities but stemmed from Xiao Yunduan's rise to an official position, which made Tao Tao more arrogant. After making these comparisons and witnessing the numerous good things Tao Tao experienced, Xiao Xiaozhi was unwilling to marry a rustic and lead a life like this for the rest of her days. Fifth cousin and fifth cousin-in-law had mentioned their intent to find a suitable marriage for Tao Tao. Xiao Xiaozhi also aspired to secure a promising marriage, similar to Tao Tao's. She wished for her brother to swiftly advance to the position of an intermediate recommended man or advanced scholar, so she could elevate her social status. Alternatively, Tao Tao could expedite her own marriage. Once Tao Tao wed, Xiao Xiaozhi would be the sole unmarried girl in the Xiao family. Her parents would inform her uncle that her fifth cousin should not neglect her. Unexpectedly, Zhao Shu arrived and instantly captured her heart. Furthermore, as young Master Zhao was a friend of fifth cousin and a businessman, what was the harm in marrying him? With her family's support, she had no reason to fear. Xiao Xiaozhi, teary-eyed, expressed her feelings with conviction. Ms. Ma ceased speaking and turned to third uncle for his opinion, asking, "What do you think?" The two of them exchanged glances, and third uncle found himself swayed by Xiao Xiaoda's words. The couple's hearts raced with excitement once again. Hence, third uncle and Mrs. Ma resolved not to seek eldest uncle's assistance. They reached a mutual agreement and proceeded directly to Zhao Shu. Zhao Shu was taken aback when he noticed Ms. Ma's beaming countenance. His instincts warned him that something was amiss. He contemplated evading them, but Shouting Village was relatively small, and he couldn't simply vanish into thin air. Ms. Ma and third uncle intercepted him. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1427, Unsettled MS. Ma and third uncle's words left Zhao Shu utterly bewildered. It was as if he harbored suspicions that they might not be Xiao Xiaoda's biological parents. After all, the Xiao family wasn't destitute to the point of offering their daughter as a concubine out of sheer necessity. What could they possibly be thinking? Moreover, Xiao Xiaozhi was Xiao Yunduan's cousin. Did they not concern themselves with her dignity? Zhao Shu held a deep-seated disdain for them, and he wasn't shy about expressing it. He silenced them with a pointed remark. "Your son is pursuing the recommended man examination, the advanced scholar examination, and a path to becoming an official, correct? If he achieves that status and has a sister who is wed to a merchant's family as a concubine, aren't you worried about the potential harm to his reputation? Even I, despite my own shortcomings, wouldn't dare to take an advanced scholar's sister as a concubine for my household." "Don't bring this up again," Ms. Ma and third uncle were taken aback. They were irked by Zhao Shu's final statement, yet they also swelled with pride for their son, as if he were already a high-ranking official. However, the couple dispelled such thoughts. Ms. Ma attempted to persuade Xiaoji, once your brother attains the status of an advanced scholar and becomes an official, you can marry anyone you desire. Why must you wed young Master Zhao? In due time, you could even become the wife of an official. I don't think young Master Zhao is anything special. He's a mere businessman, looking down on others. Xiaoji had shed tears for quite some time, and even though her love for Zhao Shu remained, she couldn't ignore Ms. Ma's words. She started thinking about Tao. He would undoubtedly wed an official's daughter in the future, right? It made sense for her to seek an official as well. Perhaps her husband might even surpass Tao's husband in capability. In the end, Tao would have to show her respect. With this in mind, Xiaoji began to feel slightly comforted. Yet, she struggled to regain her composure. At times, when she caught sight of Zhao Shu, she regarded him with a distant, sorrowful and restrained gaze, causing a shiver to run down his spine from a distance. He'd quickly find a way to escape her presence. Was she completely unhinged? It was truly perplexing. He had even managed to lead Tao into a misunderstanding, causing her to treat him coldly for 2 whole days before he finally explained himself and showered her with affection. Following his departure from Xiaoding village, Xiaoji felt adrift. The thought that she might never see him again in the future left her truly despondent for a couple of days. Tao, too, was beset with worry. She missed him dearly, but she grappled with the uncertainty of what fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law would think. She sensed a strong affinity for young Master Zhao, yet she had to heed her elder siblings. After all, she was rather inexperienced and fully trusted that fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law had made the best decision for her. Oh, how wonderful it would be to have the best of both worlds. In the blink of an eye, half a month had slipped away in the capital. With the sun's warmth, the weather had already turned quite pleasant. The distant fields were starting to show signs of spring, with grass shoots poking through, casting gentle, shadowy figures. Many trees and flowers were brimming with buds, waiting to burst into bloom with the arrival of the spring rain. Though the chill of winter still lingered in the air, the farmers were already hard at work. The wheat, which had lain dormant through the winter, now stood tall and lush, a verdant sea of green. The vegetable gardens had also begun to be tilled, readying the soil for the planting of a variety of crops. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan made their way to the farm, instructing Xianxia to organize the agricultural tasks. It wasn't time to plant potatoes just yet. Despite Qiao Xian's ability to expedite the process with her wood-based abilities, the imperial plantation had a full schedule this year, so they would have to wait their turn. Once the imperial plantation was set, they would begin planting anew. This way, their activities would draw less attention. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1428. Indecent position. The timing for planting potatoes, let alone watermelons and cantaloupes, had not yet arrived. Potatoes and watermelons typically went into the ground toward the end of March, while cantaloupes were a bit earlier. Combining them within the same planting period was also an option. The present time was ideal for thorough land excavation and deep plowing. When the watermelons and cantaloupes ripened, Xianxia would take charge of selling them. If circumstances turned challenging, he could always turn to Zhao Shu for assistance. Even if Zhao Shu wasn't in the capital, there would be individuals present to manage such matters. Updated by Of. Qiao Xian meticulously conveyed all these instructions to Xianxia, who would put them into action as soon as the weather improved. Of all the crops, potatoes held a special importance, and Qiao Xian had emphasized this. Simultaneously, she prepared a batch of potatoes to be given as seeds, along with other varieties, for Princess Shuangfu. As Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan returned to the farm, Lu Yan, who had been mingling with the villagers nearby, hurried back and greeted them with a smile. By that time, The two had already inspected the farm and were in the middle of a discussion with Songshi. Both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were displeased with Lu Yan's abrupt appearance. Songshi offered a wry smile of helplessness. The old master and madam had merely instructed them to keep an eye on Lu Yan, assuring that she wouldn't remain at the estate for an extended period. How they intended to handle her, he didn't know. Lu Yan wasn't one to easily obey orders. It almost seemed as if madam had deliberately set her on a path to antagonize him. Songshi simply couldn't be bothered with her. Finding her work to do was out of the question. She could roam as she pleased. He simply reminded her she could visit the nearby manor for socializing, but she must not divulge anything about the master's family. The old master and madam preferred to maintain a low profile, and revealing such information would undoubtedly vex them. Lu Yan attempted to argue with him, asserting, "Of course I know. I've been a part of the Qiao family for so many years. How could I not understand madam's character?" Songshi was left speechless. Updated by NOVG. His reminder had been effective. Lu Yan had initially intended to boast about her old master and madam's influence, her own competence, and her role as madam's trusted aide. Now, she only dared to tout her abilities and steer clear of any sensitive topics. At that moment, Lu Yan entered and greeted them with a smiling bow. "Old master, madam, when did you arrive? I had no idea. Please pardon my oversight, old master and madam. Had I known, I would have been ready to serve you. There's no one else in this manor who can tend to your needs." You must have had a challenging time. In her speech, she even shot a sly glance at Songshi, as if he were up to some mischief. By withholding information about the old master and madam's visit, he seemed bent on tarnishing her reputation in madam's eyes. Qiao Xian frowned, bewildered by how Lu Yan, who had appeared so meek on her previous visit, now spoke so confidently. Did she assume she would be kept around to serve her and that she was an indispensable figure by her side? Had she forgotten that she had been sent to monitor her by Qiao Wei in the first place, and she had initially intended to do whatever Qiao Wei instructed? Where did she find the audacity to believe she held any significant status? If such an individual remained in her service, it was only a matter of time before trouble arose. Qiao Xian cast a cold, expressionless gaze at her and curtly snapped, "Leave. Who granted you permission to enter in such a manner? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1429. Ignore Lu Yan's smile froze. "Madam, get out. Did you not hear madam's instructions?" Xiao Yunduan's aversion to this woman exceeded even that of Qiao Xian. He held a disdain for everything related to the Qiao family. Lu Yan trembled when she encountered Xiao Yunduan's icy gaze, and she dared not utter another word. With a hasty acknowledgement, she hastily departed. As she walked away, she shot a withering glare at Songshi, keeping it out of Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's sight. Updated by Of. Songshi, did she believe he had disparaged her in front of the old master and madam? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan rose to leave, preparing to return to the city. Songshi respectfully saw them off. Surprisingly, as they were about to board the carriage, Lu Yan mustered her courage and bowed. "Madam, when will I accompany you back? I promise to serve you dutifully." Her demeanor now exhibited far more respect than before. Qiao Xian cast a glance at her and replied calmly, "Just wait." Lu Yan felt disheartened. She opened her mouth, but the words eluded her. All she could manage was a nod and a smile. "Yes, I will heed your instructions. I can't stand idleness. I think of you every day." Qiao Xian contemplated teasing her, thinking, if you're too free, you could lend a hand in the fields. But she decided against it. She didn't regard Lu Yan as a servant. Their relationship was purely transactional. There was no need to say more. Updated by NOVG. Koshi paid no further attention to Lu Yan and departed with Xiao Yunduan in the carriage. Lu Yan gazed wistfully at the receding carriage. Only after it had completely vanished from view did she turn around, crestfallen. She had initially intended to interrogate Xianxia about what he might have disclosed to the old master and madam. However, when she turned around, Xianxia had already disappeared. Xianxia was highly driven. Upon receiving Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's instructions, he had a multitude of tasks to attend to and no time to deal with Lu Yen. Lu Yen stamped her feet in frustration and silently vowed, "Just wait and see." If she were to become Madam's maidservant, her first challenge would be dealing with the haughty Xianxia. Ever since she had arrived at the manor, Xianxia had shown no sign of valuing her. He hadn't arranged anyone to attend to her needs, and she had even been responsible for her own washing and grooming. This had left her simmering with discontent. In the carriage, Qiao Xian nestled in Xiao Yunduan's embrace. "Oh, I nearly forgot about Lu Yen." Xiao Yunduan held her close and chuckled. "She's a negligible figure, so it's understandable to forget her." Qiao Xian laughed. "I had initially intended to entrust her to young Master Zhao. He has a capable team of subordinates, and dealing with such a matter would be a breeze." However, the timing isn't ideal. Of course, if she asked Zhao Shu for assistance now, he'd gladly oblige. Even if the task were arduous, he'd tackle it with enthusiasm. However, Qiao Xian was aware of Zhao Shu's romantic interest in her sister-in-law, and she didn't want to complicate matters or owe him a favor. Xiao Yunduan shared the same sentiment. After some contemplation, Xiao Yunduan suggested, "We should employ a trustworthy intermediary and send her far away. We might need to offer a substantial sum, but I believe the intermediary would readily find a suitable family for her. I've never held a favorable opinion of Lu Yen. We should dispatch her from the capital before we depart." Qiao Xian nodded and smiled. "That's a good plan. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1430. Disposition. Thinking about Lu Yan's behavior on that day left Qiao Xian thoroughly repulsed. She had no intention of delaying the matter any longer. The very next day, she took swift action and arranged for a resolution. With the necessary finances in place, the matter proved to be surprisingly uncomplicated. Lu Yen returned to the capital, her self-satisfaction evident. Updated by Of. Ko. Before her departure, she refrained from boasting to the farm's tenants and servants. Amidst their envious glances, she conveyed her well wishes to appease them and climbed into the carriage with an air of smug superiority. In her view, she was distinct from these people. What could they possibly compare to her? She was meant to serve Madam. As the old master's official status ascended, Madam's prestige would naturally grow, and she, in turn, would rise. She couldn't help but wonder why Madam hadn't taken her away the day before. Why had she arranged for someone to collect her today? However, Lu Yen hadn't anticipated that upon disembarking from the carriage, she would find herself standing outside a brokerage shop rather than the Xiao residence. She recognized the location all too well, and her expression promptly shifted. Spotting Qiao Xian, she threw herself to the ground and burst into tears before Qiao Xian could utter a word. Qiao Xian was taken aback, unsure why the situation had escalated to this extent. Understanding that individuals like her required an assertive approach, she addressed Lu Yen with a stern expression. "I have no intention of retaining any connection with the Qiao family. I never intended to keep you here. I have no use for a deputy miss who flaunts her status to outsiders." Lu Yen was momentarily stunned, feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt and refraining from further protest. Updated by NOVG. Ko. If you continue to stay with the Qiao family, your prospects may not be promising. I can offer you one piece of information in exchange for a lifetime of security through marriage. You won't come out at a loss. If you want more, there's nothing more to be had. Qiao Xian could not help but feel sorry for Xiao Yunduan, who looked furious as he sat on the chair with his hands on his knees and a straight back. Honestly, it was a misfortune for any family when their daughter-in-law decided to hang herself on wedding night. If the bride really died, the whole family would turn into a laughingstock in front of numerous households and would be looked down upon by everyone around. Anyone would get very angry and get furious, but that was not her business. Qiao Xian was groaning inwardly. What a shitty business she found herself in. Xiao Yunduan, who looked seriously annoyed, said coldly, "If you don't want to marry me, fine. I will send you home early tomorrow morning. Don't worry, I will tell the county magistrate that it is we, the Xiao family, who don't deserve you. I will mention that clearly on our divorce paper, so you won't be blamed in any way." The couple had already exchanged the dowries and gifts and done the wedding proceedings. In the modern world, it basically meant that the two of them had already got legally married at the Civil Affairs Office. Although one night had passed and nothing happened, Qiao Xian would either divorce on her own or get divorced by this man. Startled, Qiao Xian shook her head. No, I will stay. She must not leave. If she was divorced by the husband the following day after the wedding, she would never be rid of the fact that she had been rejected by her husband, no matter how well written the divorce paper was. Also, maybe her selfish and ruthless father would not accept her to the family either, claiming that no one from the Qiao family would ever be divorced. After all, she was married off and basically given to her husband's family. She believed that Mrs. Dong and her father would definitely do something like that. When that moment came, her future would be nothing. Even if there was the slightest possibility that her horrible father and Mrs. Dong decided to accept her, would she be able to live a good life? Would she have a completely new life ahead of herself? It would not be a matter of whether there would be a whole new life, but whether she would even have a life. However, if she stayed with the Xiao family, the situation might be a little more promising. She was the daughter of the county magistrate, which was nothing in her own family but could become her protection talisman in her husband's family. As long as she made full use of her family background, she would definitely have a good life here. Also, this husband of hers had a pair of broad shoulders and narrow waist, giving out an excellent air. His nose bridge was tall and he had a very sharp silhouette on his face. His eyes seemed sparkling as well. Well, he was very handsome in her eyes, and she was not in a disadvantageous position either. This husband of hers was a student at Minghua College in the county, and he had passed the imperial examination as the cultivated talent at this young age, so probably he was going to become some recommended man, or even an advanced scholar in the future that would make her life even more promising. Besides, she could decide things later, looking at what happened in the future. At the moment, it was obvious that she should stay with her husband's family so that her life could be better. Hence, she was not leaving. When the decision was made, Qiao Xian struck her own thigh and squeezed out some tears from her eyes, remembering that she had time-traveled to such a terrible situation. Tearfully, she looked at Xiao Yunduan and sobbed. "It was my mistake a moment ago to have done such a stupid thing. Now I have realized what is more important for me, so don't worry, I will never do that again." Hee hee. Xiao Yunduan sneered as if the ice in his eyes had been scattered. "You are the miss of a noble family, but we are just a poor family in the countryside. I should not deserve you, so I won't blame you for making that mistake. If you don't like this arrangement, you truly don't have to bear it. I will tell Officer Qiao that it was all my fault, and in a couple of years, when you move away with Officer Qiao when he gets transferred to somewhere else, no one will know about our wedding. By that time, you can find your own Mr. Right. That sounds perfect, doesn't it, second miss?" Xiao Yunduan had not been very happy about this marital arrangement either, but what else could he possibly do about it all this while? He jumped into the water to save someone when he saw it happen in front of his eyes. He had not expected the consequences of it at the time. Moreover, he had thought that he could tolerate this second miss of the Qiao family by treating her well. But he had not expected that she would rather kill herself on their wedding day, just because she disliked his family. That irritated Xiao Yunduan completely. Although they had signed a contract before the new year, it was broad and non-binding. Furthermore, Xiao Yunduan held favor with the crown prince, making Jingquan Restaurant hesitant to push the matter too forcefully. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1431. Princess is surprised observing their eagerness. Qiao Xian couldn't help but be amused. She explicitly conveyed to the manager that she had no intention of conflicting with Jinquan Pavilion, which prompted the manager to gracefully withdraw. Strawberries proved remarkably straightforward to cultivate and distribute rapidly. Notably, the seedlings that had originated from her garden had been subject to repeated infusions of her wood-based abilities and had unwittingly developed into superior strains. One key characteristic was their ability to endure winter outdoors even in a location like the capital, provided proper care was taken. Last year, she had sold numerous seedlings from her garden. Furthermore, individuals from the palace and the Ministry of Revenue had later arrived to dig up potatoes, taking some away amidst the commotion. While strawberries remained somewhat rare at present, they were no longer as scarce as before. Updated by Of. As the number of offshoots multiplied, their prevalence would only increase. The seedlings she had sold might have been surreptitiously propagated by servants, gardeners, and others who later gave or sold them to others. There was no doubt they had already proliferated far and wide. Within 2 years, strawberries would become a common sight in the capital. This year, there were potential buyers for seedlings from her estate. Qiao Xian had informed Xianxia that should such offers materialize, they should sell at a fair price. For the time being, they could make the most of this opportunity. Though not as lucrative as her other core businesses, the income wasn't negligible. It covered the various expenses associated with managing the farm in Cloud Water Town. In mid-February, Princess Consort broached the topic of Qiao Xian's marriage when visiting Princess Shuangfu. The Crown Prince is agreeable, but the decision ultimately rests with you. If you believe it's suitable, approach the Emperor. I believe the Emperor will approve. After all, Xiao Yunduan was to marry her, and it made no difference if his wife accompanied him. She was still his biological daughter, and the Emperor wouldn't make things complicated for such a trivial matter. Updated by NOVG. Co-Princess Shuangfu was both surprised and delighted. Is this truly true? Princess Consort cast her a glance. If you don't wish to, then forget it. In my opinion, we have numerous accompanying nannies, servants, and eunuchs. Madame Xiao is a woman, and she might struggle with the rigors of the journey. She may need to rely on someone to assist her. The radiant smile on Princess Shuangfu's face momentarily wavered. She hesitated and asked, "Sister-in-law, is Madame Xiao willing to go?" Princess Consort sneered. Lord Xiao has said she is willing, or else the Crown Prince wouldn't have suggested it. Princess Consort couldn't comprehend why the Crown Prince harbored such benevolence toward Madame Xiao. Why would he consent to such a proposition? Was she entitled to meddle in a princess wedding? She was unsure how to maintain the decorum befitting a woman. A woman who married into another family should dutifully manage her husband's inner residence and be a good wife. How could she behave in such a manner? She had kept a close watch on Lord Xiao, and now she even desired to accompany him as he saw off the princess. What a preposterous notion! When the Crown Prince tasked her with discussing the matter with Princess Shuangfu, she had expressed her dissent, but the Crown Prince remained resolute, a fact that deeply irked her. Were it not for the need to preserve her dignified image before others, she might have spoken critically in Princess Shuangfu's presence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1432. Such a coincidence. Princess Consort was noticeably displeased when the matter was brought up. She was on the verge of trying to dissuade Princess Shuangfu when the latter happily exclaimed, "That's wonderful! Thank you, Crown Prince and Princess Consort. I would be immensely grateful if Madame Xiao could accompany me." Princess Consort, have you thoroughly considered this? Princess Shuangfu didn't notice Princess Consort's furrowed brow. With her head down and a joyous smile on her face, she fiddled with her hair in front of her chest. It was apparent that her happiness had taken precedence over all other considerations. Updated by Of. Co-princess consort grew exasperated, but her decorum and dignified image restrained her from using forceful language. She responded calmly, "If that is your choice, then so be it. Prepare yourself for the wedding, and if you require anything, have someone inform me. I have matters to attend to and will take my leave." "Thank you, Princess Consort. Farewell, Princess Consort." Princess Consort cast a sidelong glance at her, pursed her lips, and departed. Princess Shuangfu and her servant were elated after Princess Consort's departure. Madame Xiao's presence instilled a sense of assurance. The mistress and her servant exchanged excited conversation and laughter for a while. However, Bai Yun couldn't help but feel a twinge of worry. "I can't help but think that Crown Princess Consort might not be entirely on board with this idea. Could she be unhappy about it?" Princess Shuangfu's smile faltered as she shook her head. "No, Princess Consort has always been poised and isn't easily provoked. She won't oppose the Crown Prince's wishes. Besides, I don't believe she is unhappy about it." She remained unaware of Princess Consort's true sentiments, and Princess Consort hadn't conveyed them to her either. She was simply in the dark. Bai Yun was taken aback and quickly offered an apology. Yes. I'm sorry I misspoke." Princess Shuangfu smiled. "We shouldn't delay. I will go inform father now." Updated by NOVG. Ko Shi felt exhilarated and resolute. If she didn't take action now, she feared she might never gather the courage in the future. Furthermore, time was of the essence. Princess Shuangfu didn't possess a surplus of confidence. She believed that good fortune was within her grasp, and she had to seize it immediately. Otherwise, something unforeseen might occur. Throughout her years in the palace, she had observed dispassionately from the sidelines. There was nothing she hadn't witnessed. Today, she was particularly fortunate. When she arrived at the 1,000-Year Palace for an audience, the emperor happened to be available. Shortly after, a young eunuch appeared and ushered her inside. "Father, greetings." "Rise." "Thank you, father." "Greetings, honored princess." Princess Shuangfu stood and saluted honored Princess Mei. Honored Princess Mei nodded and smiled at her before standing upright. Princess Shuangfu found it quite coincidental that honored Princess Mei was present. However, this was a rare occasion for her to meet her father, and she couldn't afford to squander the opportunity. Even if honored Princess Mei was present, she needed to convey her message. Father and daughter exchanged a few pleasantries, their interactions marked by respect and a degree of formality. The emperor, in high spirits after honored Princess Mei's visit, maintained a smile and asked, "It's quite a coincidence that you're here today. What's on your mind?" Princess Shuangfu had been awaiting these words. She promptly knelt once more. "I do indeed have a request, father." Evidently, the emperor was in a good mood following honored Princess Mei's appeal. He continued to smile and said, "Speak, it's rare for you to come to me. I won't refuse." "Thank you, father." Princess Shuangfu was elated and prostrated herself. Then she cautiously presented her request. To her surprise, her father remained silent for an extended period. Honored Princess Mei's expression changed as well. Princess Shuangfu was a little uneasy and forced a smile. "Father, this. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1433, Request for an Edict? Ha ha ha. The emperor burst into laughter and remarked, "What a twist! Do you know what the noble consort is imploring me for today? She stated that Miss Tian is willing to accompany you to Qingdi." Princess Shuangfu was taken aback and felt utterly helpless. Father, Miss Tian? The niece favored by honored Princess Mei? Despite living in seclusion, palace gossip spread rapidly. She had heard of the rumors concerning Miss Tian and Lord Xiao. Bai Yun and Qing Tao had returned to provide her with gossip to alleviate her boredom. Did Miss Tian truly intend to accompany her to Qingdi? Princess Shuangfu found it difficult to believe that there were no ulterior motives behind such an offer. The emperor seemed to find the situation amusing as he said with a smile, "Very well, Yuzhen, the choice is yours. Would you like Miss Tian to accompany you, or Madame Xiao?" Honored Princess Mei responded with a snort and a playful chuckle. "Emperor, you have quite the sense of humor." She giggled and emphasized humor coquettishly, all while casting a sidelong glance at Princess Shuangfu. Even though Princess Shuangfu had lowered her head, she could still feel the piercing gaze, causing her slender frame to tremble ever so slightly. She made an effort to convince herself that she hadn't seen the noble consort's meaningful look. "Father, as the envoy, it's more appropriate for Madame Xiao to accompany you. The emperor is inquiring about your preference." "Princess, simply state your choice. You needn't concern yourself with other matters." Honored Princess Mei interjected with a smile before Princess Shuangfu could finish her sentence. Her intent was crystal clear. Princess Shuangfu's heart raced, yet she spoke softly. "Father, thanks to your kindness, I spent 3 days away from the court during the spring festival. Madame Xiao was with me the entire time. I feel that I have become quite acquainted with Madame Xiao, and I would like to ask her to accompany me, if that pleases you." Honored Princess Mei's once beaming countenance stiffened as she unconsciously balled her fists. This ungrateful child. The emperor paid her no mind and simply chuckled while nodding. "You're right, that settles it then. Madame Xiao is the more suitable choice." "Yes, thank you, father." "Very well." Princess Shuangfu didn't dare to linger any further. Most importantly, Honored Princess Mei's glare was as sharp as a knife. She couldn't withstand it. As they exited the Thousand-Year Palace, Princess Shuangfu held Auntie's hand, and her legs felt wobbly, almost causing her to stumble. She heaved a long sigh of relief and took some time to regain her composure. Auntie C offered a forced smile and whispered, "Princess, there's no need to worry. You're the most fitting candidate for the marriage. No one will dare to challenge you at this juncture." Princess Shuangfu nodded. "You're right. Indeed, at most, Honored Princess Mei might harbor resentment toward her. In any case, she had no intention of remaining in the palace any longer. If she bore any grudges, she wouldn't let it concern her." Unbeknownst to her, as soon as she departed, the emperor turned to Honored Princess Mei and declared, "Xianxia isn't young anymore. I will find her a suitable family." With a sigh, Honored Princess Mei responded with a half-truth and half-fake smile, "This is the will of fate. No one can compare to the emperor's first choice." The emperor smiled helplessly. "That girl is far too stubborn. You should persuade her. Her recent remarks were absurd. She's still a young girl, and even though she will be accompanying the princess, Minister Xiao is the envoy. It's not appropriate for her to act in this manner." "Why must you meddle with her?" Honored Princess Mei was taken aback. She recognized that the emperor's words reflected his disapproval. Swiftly, she responded, "Yes, I have indeed spoiled her too much. Reflecting on it, it's my fault. I will make sure to persuade her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." You're tuning into the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.